20 years, let's say, let my top get him. You want Marshall? You want that?
Hampton Roads has a long-running high school and college sports tradition. It's time to give them the spotlight they deserve. This is 757 Sports Talk. Here are Matt Hatfield and Coach Ed Young.
And a good Saturday morning to all you people out there. Welcome to another edition of 757 Saturday Sports Talk here on Cova Sports TV. Like, share, and subscribe. Make sure you hit that subscribe button for sure. We are streaming all over the web, including each and every week, available live and on demand on our Cova Sports TV YouTube channel. Please hit that subscribe button for that. You can also catch us on Facebook, IG, Hatfield Sports 2K4, Twitter or X at Hatfield Sports. We're also retweeting it at VA Preps Rivals and 757 Sports Talk on VirginiaPreps.com. All over the web, Apple and Spotify too. You see Coach Ed Young is on the move, as you saw on his video, I'm assuming from Friday night, but he'll fill us in. I am Matt Hatfield. I just got back from the 804 late in the wee hours of the morning as I was up there in Richmond. You'll see the video interviews we did with the victorious Maury Commodores, who, let's just call it what it is, stomped on the Highland Springs Springers 38-7. Plus, we got a game-winning field goal. Ed's guy blew smoke in the winners column, but he didn't pick them. And we say good morning to the venerable, I guess we can say former basketball coach, because he's not a current basketball coach, free agent, and very, very demoralized fan of the Notre Dame Fighting Irish, Ed Young. How are you, sir?
I am feeling fine today. Great win for Doug Pereira for the Blue Smoke over there at York, over Warhill, and a heck of a game-winning field goal.
Oh, yeah. It's a great clip. We'll show that in a little bit.
Yeah, Maury, like you said, stomping all over Highland Springs. Picked Maury to win, but not by that much. No. And, yeah, Notre Dame, you know what? That was last week. We got
Wait. Time out. You can't say that was last week. No. Don't focus on Purdue Boilermakers. If I recall, my podcast partner and me were walking out of an establishment with a sports book. We talked about it a couple weeks ago, the casino. And as we left, you pointed at the screen. I wish I had videoed this. This would have been great for video. You said, they're going undefeated. Regular season. You said it out of your mouth, and right then and there, you put the kibosh on your team. You are to blame, not Marcus Freeman, not Riley Leonard, not the defense. You.
Yeah, I felt good that if we could get by Texas A&M, do what we're supposed to do. No, I say we like I'm there.
Yeah.
We could go undefeated because there was no powerhouses left.
Is it still we, by the way, or have you disassociated yourself from the Fighting Irish?
Yep, I am now a Ohio State fan. No.
What a bandwagon hopper you are. You're with the Buckeyes.
Notre Dame could be 0-10. I'm still with them. It was demoralizing. Yes, losing to Northern Illinois. Not Illinois, but Northern Illinois. Still in the directional schools.
And by the way, their biggest win prior to that was 2003 over Maryland, which I called many years ago on the late, great Tony Mercurio's radio show on 1310 back in the day, before they moved to 94.1 ESPN radio. And people called in and said, Tony, you picking Northern Illinois? No, that was the kid, Matt. That was Hatfield. He picked him. And then the next day it was, you heard it on my show, folks. The Blast Man took credit, which was fine. Michael the Burner Turner for Joe Novak's Huskies. I haven't picked Northern Illinois in like 2 games since then. And here they go. They smack your Irish in South Bend in front of Touchdown Jesus and all those screaming thousands of crying, disappointed Irish fans like yourself.
Yeah, there's no way they should have lost. I'm sorry. I know on a given day, somebody can beat somebody. I understand all that. But not Northern Illinois. Yes, once upon a time, very strong program, but not what they used to be. And, and I even made a comment earlier, I think I said it to you, that Notre Dame, because they're not a darling media, the darling of the media, would need to go undefeated and probably win by 50 every game to stay anywhere near high rankings. And if they did, if they go undefeated the rest of the year, they're in the playoffs. One loss team is definitely going to be, of the 12, there are going to be a few one losses and probably a few 2-loss teams. But Notre Dame, being an independent, really can't afford any more losses, or they don't have an automatic bid like some of the major conferences do. So they got to come back today and against an old rival, Purdue, who in the past has given Notre Dame headaches. I don't think it could be today, but then again, I didn't think Northern Illinois would get anywhere within 25 of Notre Dame. So,
well, hold on. We've got bigger fish to fry today, bigger games today. And I'm talking about fish to fry like the Miami Dolphins, who got fried. They got filleted on Thursday night by the Bills. Poor Tua. And by the way, let me get this out there right here and now, because I get this off my chest. I have a couple buddies that were razzing me. I'm a Tua guy. I'm a believer in Tua. We won't get started on the whole Tyreek Hill situation, but everybody is blasting him. People texting and posting he sucks and he's retired, which, by the way, the concussion thing, I don't know what his status is there. It's bad. It's rough. But look, we can't blame him entirely when he was the most accurate QB in the league and had one of the top quarterback ratings in the league last year, and he's going great. And then he has one bad game against the Bills, who they never beat. And you got boy genius over there who looks like he's out of his mind at the time, Mr. McDaniel. The Bills came in there and just shellacked him. He could have had Dan Marino in his prime. I don't think they were winning that game on Thursday night. I just don't. They had a chance early, but the Bills just pulled away from them. Tough loss there. But we got bigger fish to fry, Edward, in the Commonwealth today. We've got Virginia Tech at Old Dominion again. They've lost not once but twice their last couple of visits to Norfolk. 2022, 2018. Does history repeat itself today? Looks like it's going to be a new QB for the Monarchs under center. We're taking the snaps. Not always under center these days in college football. We shall see what happens for the Hokies, who are trying to get themselves the bad taste out of their mouths from that disappointing, unexpected loss to Vanderbilt to open the season. The Monarchs have had a couple winnable games they've lost close. If they play 3 quarters, they might be 2-0 right now, to South Carolina, the SEC, and to East Carolina, Mike Houston and the Pirates getting it done, the former JMU coach, against the Narcs last week. Not only do you have the Narcs and the Hokies, you have the Battle of the Bay. Behold the green and gold. Norfolk State hosting Hampton University. Battle of the Bay. You want to wait to put your forecast out on those 2 games. We do have a special guest slated to join us, a former Hokie and a former Crabber, our pal Dwight Vick of Vicktory Legacy, Vicktory Life, I should say, Leave a Legacy. He's going to come on with us. He does a lot of podcasts and shows these days. I've been on his. He does some. I know he's done some TV work as well, analyst wise. We'll get Dwight's take, and by the way, he's also kin to Michael. We know that. But we'll talk with him around 10:40 a.m. Eastern this morning. You want to wait for Dwight to give your perspective or quick thoughts on those 2 games. Hokies are a 16.5-point favorite. Norfolk State, Hampton tends to be a close game where you throw the records out the window when those 2 get together. It used to be conference rivals, not so much anymore because Hampton, CAA, NSU, and the MEAC, but still HBCU rivals.
No, I want to hear what Dwight got to say about Old Dominion, Virginia Tech, and I think Hampton, Norfolk State is a little close to call. I know in my mind in both games who I'm going with or who I think will win, but let's hear what Dwight got to say first.
Okay. Any other college football games that's got you fascinated today? Virginia's taking on Maryland, chance for the Hoos to get to 3-0. You have Alabama and Wisconsin. You have a number of games that have some intrigue. Oh, by the way, Colorado, give me my theme music. What's going on with Dion and the boys, the Buffs? Took it on the chin last week against Nebraska. That didn't make me sad whatsoever. They're going to take on Colorado State, who had them on the ropes last year before Shador Centers led a great comeback against them and got all of CU, Buff Nation, and Dion's fan base very exuberant and jubilant. We'll see if they have some jubilation and get above the 500 mark today or fall below against their in-state rival. There's a lot of games on the docket. I think a couple more interesting games than last night in the Battle of Cats. It was Kansas State with Avery Johnson. No, not the squeaky shoes Avery Johnson. Used to coach basketball and play for the Spurs, but Avery Johnson, the sophomore triggerman, leading KSU past the Arizona Wildcats.
Yeah, I would say I was looking earlier before I got on the road to see what ranked teams are playing each other. That always takes center stage if there's any ranked teams playing anybody. I might have missed it. I looked quick. I didn't really see it.
Let me stop right there for a second. I'm curious for any of the fans out there watching, interact with us. We're on. You can comment through YouTube, Twitter, Facebook, X, IG. We'll take your perspective. I want to hear the fans. I don't care if you're an alum of a school, a fan of a school. Are you more, and if you live in Virginia or outside Virginia, let's say you live in the state, are you more into the UVA, Maryland, Virginia Tech, ODU, Norfolk State, Hampton matchups, or like Ed said, a ranked matchups? Or are you someone that has no affiliation to a school in our state and you just want to see great college football and you prefer the top 25 action over the games that have state ramifications? I'm curious what the fans feel, but continue on. And you might be able to chime in on that as well, too, being a fan of the sport and a former coach with love of sports. What's your feeling on what the fans generally think? You think it's 60-40, 70-30? They love the more in-state games today, or are they more into the top 25 action? What's your feel?
I think people are football fans. They have a team. I'm with them all the way. You're
breaking up very bad. Hold on a second. We'll try to recalibrate you here in 1 second. Let's see if we can get you recalibrated here as Coach Young is going through a patchy area that his reception went a little haywire on us. All right, let's give a take two here. Let's see if you got me. Let's see how you sound. Go ahead.
You hear me now?
Better, yeah. You were cutting out bad. Go ahead.
Yeah, I'm going through a grassy area, a lot of trees.
You're getting feedback, but you're good now. Go ahead.
On the college football would be people have their team, their favorite team, whether they're a grad of that team or they've adopted a team. Like me, I've adopted Notre Dame over the years and been a Notre Dame fan ever since I started liking sports. So, but there's a lot of teams I like, but Notre Dame is the one I really go nuts for in college football. And of course, you would have people you would think, fans of Virginia that live in Virginia are interested in when Virginia teams play each other. Though we don't really have anybody on the national stage ranked. A lot of people pick UVA as going to have a bad year. They're starting out pretty good, 2-0. I think it'll be tough to go 3-0 with Maryland today. But, yeah, I would think most people have their one favorite team that they're really going to stay with. And even over two ranked teams, because that's my second thing is when two powerhouses get together, because it affects the rankings a lot more. So Notre Dame and ranked teams playing each other for me.
I don't know if this is Jelly Roll. It just says Jelly R chiming in on X saying, give me Virginia Tech ODU any day. Monarchs trying to make it 3 in a row at home. Well, I can see that. Here's the thing about that real quick before we get to the high school scores, and we got a bunch of them for you here on this edition of 757 Saturday Sports Talk on Cova Sports TV. Like, share, and subscribe. I was thinking about this. I think ordinarily on most weeks, I would give you the top 25 action, but because it's not as thick of a slate, you got you got Georgia playing an SEC foe, but they're playing a bunch of SEC foes that are quality. It's not like the Alabama showdown. You don't have as many of the top 25 games. He's like, give me the ODU Tech, because for ODU, it's like their Super Bowl game. If they're not going to win the conference championship in the Sun Belt, if they're not going to be, a 9-10 win team, this is kind of their big event game when Virginia Tech rolls into town. You don't get to see this but once a year or every couple of years, perhaps. Maybe not even every couple of years, depending on how the series goes. So, all right, you can watch Georgia any given week. They're playing Kentucky today. It's not as juicy a game. Your ranked matchups are BC, Missouri. You got Alabama, Wisconsin. Wisconsin not a ranked team. So you've only got one outside of last night's Arizona, Kansas State on the entire slate today with two ranked teams. I think more people in our state are into the Virginia type games. Now it could be a different feel for it. Our man Ed Pugh from the Suffolk News, we love Ed, chimes in. I want to see good quality football regardless of the ranked conference. I mean, yeah, I can think that. There are some people that feel that way too. And you know what? Some people might have the clicker, and if they're not at the ODU or the Norfolk State Hampton games, and they can find it, whether they're watching it on regular TV or streaming, and those games are tight, they might jump into that game at that point. So that's generally sometimes how it works for again, if you're not an alum of a school or a diehard, say Hokies, NSU, HU, ODU fan. That's kind of where it is. So it's a mixed bag. But this is a pretty big week for the state because let's be honest. At this point, who do you think, Ed, right now is the best team in the state college football? Would you go Liberty, James Madison, or do you think UVA or Tech has established themselves? We asked this to a couple of our experts we had on during the summer, like I think Phil Steele was one as well as Paul Stone, and they leaned with Virginia Tech. If Virginia Tech loses this game today, you cannot say that by any means. No way, shape, or form. I don't think they're going to lose the game today, but if they do, yikes.
Yeah, I think going into the season, yeah, it was Virginia Tech, top team in Virginia. A lot of people just don't want to give Liberty any credit, but they're a team that over the last couple of years has been really, really good. And JMU, since their elevation to 1A football has held their own. Old Dominion has had its up and downs. Of course, see, the way I look at Old Dominion, Virginia Tech, if Old Dominion beats Virginia Tech, to me, it's a slight upset. No way near what it was the first time.
No, 16.5 is not 20.5. I agree. But I would say a little more than slight. It's a significant upset. I wouldn't say it's a monstrous upset.
No, because Old Dominion is now an established Division I program. They just haven't had any super years like a Virginia has had. Virginia Tech's had a ton of them, JMU. So that's kind of how you look at it that way. Hampton, Norfolk State is as good a rival as anybody in the country, including Ohio State, Michigan. It just doesn't have national flair. But between those fan bases, those grads of those schools, current students at those schools, that's big time. This is the game of the week for season for some fans is when the Battle of the Bay comes up. So again, each game has its flavor. It's just as to what you look at. And you're right, Boston College, Missouri, only game with ranked teams. That doesn't really tickle my fancy either because I'm not a fan of either team. They're not top 10 type teams, and I don't think you'll see either team in the 12 at the end of the year. So, it does not have a Michigan, Ohio State, or an Alabama, Georgia flair to it. But like I said, if Old Dominion beats Virginia Tech, I don't think it's as big an upset as it was the first time, maybe even the second time, because they have established that program.
That's fair to say. Ahmad Gibbs chiming in. If Tech loses again, they might stop coming to Norfolk, the place of horrors for them. Yeah, it could be a house of horrors. They had 4 turnovers the last time, I think, throwing the ball. I was there for the last one, not the first one. Interceptions galore. You got Ollie Jennings, former Monarch, other side of the field now. So you got that little storyline. He's come out and said it's just another game to him. We'll see what kind of defense is played on him and if he goes off perhaps against his former team, the Richmond product who started Highland Springs. And speaking of Highland Springs, we'll also get you some reaction. You'll hear from Dyrri McCain of the Maury Commodores, whose team beat the Springers by 31 last night, plus 2 of his standouts. The quarterback, Tory Newkirk, who threw for 300-plus yards and 4 touchdowns, as well as the defensive edge rusher, Leslie Hines, 8 tackles, 5 for loss. That's coming your way. Plus all the high school football scores and reaction with all of you out there. Ed Pugh also chiming back in. I'm going to miss my Georgia game to go to my first ODU Virginia Tech game. It's a rivalry environment. Nothing beats that. Yeah, people are into it, Ed. It's going to be a packed house there at SB Ballard Stadium. And then at 6 o'clock, you got right down the road the Battle of the Bay with NSU and Hampton. I got the privilege to call one of those a couple years ago, and that had a lot of sizzle to it. If people haven't gone to that, that's another fun one too. So you can't go wrong with those couple of games. And there are a bunch of options on the tube, even if it's not a ranked matchup. You got LSU, South Carolina. You got the Civil War, Oregon State. A bunch of action today. But we're going to take a quick timeout, come back with the high school scores. You'll see that game-winning field goal when we return as well. Dwight Vick's around the corner, plus an NFL week number 2 picks. And, I got my Cardinals hat on, and I'm sure you want to chime in on this before we go to break. I was so disheveled and dejected and upset after what transpired last weekend. My goodness, we had the Bills. We had them on the ropes. We let them off the hook. In honor of the late, great Dennis Green, I went a little psycho mode after the game. And you know what bugged me the most about it? Here's what bugged me the most about it. Not only did we lose, I didn't even get to cover because it was 6.5. Took an L and went 0-3. So I got no satisfaction out of it whatsoever.
Yeah, the Bills are who we thought they were. I was surprised early in the game when I heard the Cardinals were winning. I said, no, Cardinals are not beating the Bills. They're going to somehow come back. And they did. And, of course, they really destroyed the Dolphins the other night. But you know what's funny is there's a lot of people have put in some shekels on the Cardinals against the Rams.
They should have their heads examined. Hold on. They should have their heads examined because the Rams had the Lions on the ropes. Matthew Stafford, though, he's a little bit of a statue back there. I know Puka Nacua is not supposed to play. Cooper Kupp and Sean McVay he owns the Cardinals head to head. He knows what he's doing. And our team right now, I mean, what can I say?
This team is pathetic, putrid,
I thought the Cardinals were at best 500 type team this year. But in that West Division, they're probably going to knock off somebody like a Rams or 49ers at least once.
And lose their 5 games and go what 6-11. And you know what we are like for our buddy Frank says
pathetic,
we are
pathetic, putrid, awful. This team is pathetic, putrid, heartless, gutless.
That's right. We are. That's what we are. Hate to say it, but we are. I'm already waving the flag 1 game in. I'm not gonna become a bandwagon fan like you and all of a sudden like the Buckeyes, all of a sudden start rooting for the Seahawks. I'm not doing that. I have a little loyalty to my teams. You, on the other hand, you just change colors and affiliations, at the drop of a hat. Whoop, there the hat fell. Go ahead, change your team.
I said that jokingly. Notre Dame is my team always.
Oh, yeah. They will today when they wax Purdue 42-12. You're a front runner. Let's take a time out and come back with more, including a game-winning field goal and some high school football reaction. Chime in with us. Interact with us here on 757 Saturday Sports Talk. But we want you to hear about what's coming to the Plex in a couple of months. It's the Neptune Bowl. Take a look.
Get ready for the Neptune Bowl presented by DoubleTree by Hilton on November 23rd, 2024 at the Virginia Beach Sportsplex. Tailgating starts at 10 a.m. Grab your passes for just $50. Gates open at 12:30 with kickoff at 2 p.m. Advance tickets are only $20 or $25 at the gate on game day. Don't miss the 3rd annual Neptune Bowl featuring a dynamic matchup between the Apprentice School Builders and the Atlantis University Atlanteans. Visit beachsportsplex.com to learn more today and secure your spot.
Well, it's everybody's favorite time of year again. Time to prepare to make your annual donation to that infernal revenue service. And if you're like me, you need help. Help to keep that donation as small as possible. So get off your W-2 and call John Maynard at John's Tax Service. 455-6763.
This is 757 Saturday Sports Talk. Here are Matt Hatfield and Coach Ed Young.
And we're back here on 757 Saturday Sports Talk on Cova Sports TV. Like, share, and subscribe. We're on YouTube. We're on Apple, Spotify, IG, all over the web. We thank all of you tuning in on the web and interacting with us, and we encourage you to do so throughout the morning here on the program. Ed, let's go through some of the high school football action from Thursday and Friday night. We'll start with Thursday before we get to the game-winning field goal, which you just saw, a conversation with Sebastian Benitez of the York Falcons. You were going to pick them, but you picked Warhill in overtime to defeat the York Falcons, and this was a heck of a ball game. Scoreless at the half, defensive struggle, it really was, and then the offense got queued up. Touchdown run out of the chute in the third quarter on the very first play, as it was a Carter Strickland to the house, a house call of 68 yards, 7-0 Warhill. But York came right back. 33-yard touchdown run by Anthony Custis. They go 3 for 3 on third downs to cap the 9-play, 80-yard drive in just over 5 minutes. But the extra point by Martinez is no good. Remember that 1 point could come back to bite him, or does it? 7-6 Warhill. We flash ahead to the late third quarter. A.J. Wilson, 7-yard TD to Jamarcus Tyler. Custis gets the 2-point conversion. York is now 4-4 on third downs and a half. 14-7 Falcons. But in the fourth quarter, time's ticking down. 4:13 to go. 4th and 5. What do you do, Jerome Rhodes? Doesn't kick the field goal. He instead decides to go for it, and it pays off with the sophomore Strickland, a 13-yard TD to Isaiah Rembert. PAT is good. We're all knotted up at 14, and now it's time for York to piece together the drive at their own 20 with 4:13 to go. And right with 21 seconds to go, big 3rd and 9. They run for 4 with Seamus Cassidy, 27-yard line. Doug Pereira uses a timeout. He's got 2 left in the bag. They end up getting a 10-yard pass to Tyler, and it sets up that dramatic field goal, which you just missed it coming back from break. We'll play it for you one more time and then hear what the kicker had to say, Mr. Martinez. Let's take a look and then hear him.
I'm here with the York senior kicker, Sebastian Benitez. Game-winning field goal as time expires, 17-14, beating the Warhill Lions. All right, Sebastian, you're a senior. When you woke up this morning, did you say, all right, I'm going to kick this to win the game at the end?
Honestly, I just thought of just coming to the game and doing my work like always.
Now, last week you were 3 for 3, I think it was, on extra points. You knocked them through. This is a team that beat you all 48-0 last year, but there was sort of a steely-eyed confidence about this group coming in. What did you guys do to prepare? And then we'll go through the end of the game where you were the hero.
Man, well, I really appreciate the coaches, all the effort they've put in, all the offseason, and all the training we've been doing. We've been working hard. I'll be seeing those boys working really hard. And honestly, I just thank God because he really pulled us through. He helped us out here. And first of all, like, he made me. He helped me make that field goal. Nothing else would have made that field goal. On the sideline, after missing my first, I started praying at the beginning of the game, praying every single time. My team prayed. That's what made us win. That's what made us take this W today.
I feel like any football player, whether it's a quarterback or a kicker like yourself, you had that one extra point that was no good. It was 7-0, then you guys score. You go up 14, then they tie it back up. Are you just sitting on the sideline saying, just give me a chance to win this and redeem myself? Is that what's going through your mind a little bit? Or
honestly, I was just prepared for the situation. I was just expecting it because I knew that game was going to be tied, and it just came up to like the last 2 minutes, and everybody in my team was just hyping me up and telling me, hey, it's down to you, all right? You need to make this. And I take that to heart. So, yeah, that's what made me.
What's it say for the confidence of your teammates, your coaches, your head coach, and Coach Pereira here? He could have gone for maybe a Hail Mary at the end, but to get that little closer to give you a field goal try, what's it say for them to have that belief in you and you to come through? How's the feeling for you now?
Man, honestly, it feels amazing. Now, like, I have a better chemistry with my coaches, obviously. I really appreciate them for giving me the opportunity they're giving me. Of course, like, for having the confidence on putting me on the line, right? And, like, I'm just really honored by that.
Well, and I know, listen, there's a lot more goals for this team to accomplish. You got the big rivalry game with Tab coming up, the Hovis Trophy coming up. But to be 2-0, to win like this, what's this do for York football and you guys to win it in this type of fashion?
Oh, it definitely gives us just entering with the right foot, right, with the right mentality, just with that confidence from these games, you know. This year is really different from last season. That's for sure. That's what I'm going to say.
He's the hero, Sebastian Benitez, as York wins it tonight, 17-14. Congratulations. Great job.
Thank you.
So what a thrilling finish there as York got it done over the Warhill Lions, 17-14. Edward, and for those who don't know, we call Doug Pereira Blue Smoke affectionately. Go back on our Cova Sports TV YouTube channel. We don't have it queued up right now, but go back. We have so many videos in the queue right now, and watch our interview with Doug Pereira. You can search on YouTube for it. We had him on in the summertime. We played it then. I know you're thrilled for them to get this win because last is another against Warhill. Warhill graduated a lot, and they still have some quality young parts. A lot of sophomores on that team. They're going to be factors later on. But they got stomped by them 48-0 last year. And the turnaround this year, make those clutch conversions on the road. People are roaring at Warner. It's a big win for York in Region 3A, which they needed as the schedule will get tougher in the Bay Rivers as the Lafayette's are still waiting and the Pocotons, among others, including the rival tab.
Yeah, I like you say, they got beat 48-0. Come back and beat that team. That's pretty good. I know Warhill lost some, but still got a lot of quality players, quality coaching staff. So that's a big win. The interview, Martina, I loved it where he was pretty calm in the interview. A lot of times when a kid does that, they're jumping all over the place and don't even really know how to answer because they can't even remember the question. They're overly excited. He was pretty calm about it, about going about his job, as he mentioned it, of kicking field goals. That's why he's on the team, one of the main reasons. And he did his job. So that's tremendous. But and it is a big win for York, who is also a quality program. They've gone through the rebuilding with going with a lot of youngsters in a tough division that's always, led by Lafayette. In the last couple of years, Warhill is up there, Pocosin. On a personal note, I said to myself, this is a great time to pick York. I don't know why, but then
didn't.
Yeah, and then I changed it, and I said, well, I got a little nervous. I said, you know what? Not yet. Let's get a couple games under our belt, and I'm going to go with York. And I did I think I have a high-scoring game, and I did say overtime, but I thought Warhill would be the one to either get a late touchdown or a field goal. So I just had the wrong thing, but it's kind of neat to see York get that.
And we'll tell you who went crazy in a second, but all hitches the Nova Football podcast folks for reaching out. Would you be interested in being on our podcast so our listeners can hear about the 757 teams? Well, I'm guessing he's meaning more me than Ed, but sure, we'd be delighted to come on. Let us know. We'll promote your stuff. You promote our stuff. We'd be glad to. And the main thing is it's not about promoting the stuff as much as we're giving the kids and the teams, the players, the athletes their shine, and they deserve the recognition. So yeah, we'd be glad to. We'll give you a thumbs up on that. You know who went crazy? You said the kicker was really calm. If you watch that video back again, we played it twice. Doug Pereira was going around like a crazy man, celebrating like he was, 14 years old. And we caught up with him after the game, after he celebrated the big win. Here's what he said to us here on Cova Sports TV.
I'm here with York head football coach Doug Pereira after his team's heart-stopping 17-14 victory over the Warhill Lions. Just the way our buddy Ed Young would like it, Coach, because it goes on the very end, a 34-yard game-winning field goal by Sebastian Benitez. First time in 16 years you guys win it at a field goal to win it. How's it feel for you right now?
Okay, first of all, you need to understand something. This is a God thing for sure. That's Sebastian's second game ever playing in his life. He's never played football in his life. Yeah.
Wow.
Hence the reason he lined up 15 yards behind the tee before they called a timeout. So, but you know what? I knew he could hit it. And the bottom line is this. We talked about resiliency this week with the team. And, that was one of the things we just kind of emphasized on. And that's exactly what they had throughout this game. Extremely proud of this bunch. That was a huge win for York High School tonight, and over a very solid Warhill team.
Well, people will look at that and say, well, they graduated, but Warhill beat you last year 48-0. You know what Coach Rhodes and his program have, and you guys responded from that first play to second half. It's a 0-0 scoreless battle. They break off a 68-yard TD, and then your offense after that, Coach, 4 of 4 on third down conversions. Just about speak on the poise of your quarterback, A.J. Wilson, your backs. I know Anthony Custis broke off some long runs, and you used a couple of backs to kind of respond from the adversity you faced.
The resiliency. You have to respond. I mean, there's no other choice, or else you're going to lose the game. And extremely proud of the guys for how they did respond to that, because we could have just taken a dive like we did last year. They're still a young bunch, but they're a young bunch that had to deal with all that last year, and so they're coming through it. Both teams are young. They've got some guys over there. That's a good team, but we're pretty good too, and I feel confident. Going forward, we're gonna be solid.
How much, too, was just getting that number 85 for the Max Shill block? Because it felt like off the edge, he was causing some problems. And once you were able to get him contained to a degree, you could get some of those plays you wanted with. Your screen game was crucial tonight. A couple of big screens, the same as Cassidy, that helped you get some big gainers.
Yeah, Coach Rhodes is an excellent defensive coach. And he makes me get out of my regular stuff every time. And so we were drawing stuff in the dirt there at times, but the players were the ones that made it happen. And, they had to hear me fussing them a couple times, but when it was all said and done, it's on these guys. It's not me. These guys are unbelievable.
your defense coach, you had a bend but don't break. It felt like philosophy tonight. You got that one early red zone takeaway that was huge. I think the Ward brothers stepped up for you, Ben and Carter.
Oh, totally.
What did you see in terms of trying to deny them from getting some of those explosive plays?
Our defense is solid. They're very fast. They're aggressive. We knew that going in. Shoot, we have trouble running the ball on them, throwing the ball on them in practice. Hardest defense we face. And so we have all the confidence that those guys continue to do what they're doing, be solid. But personnel on that side of the ball, man, they're tough, man. Yeah. They're tough.
Yeah. Lastly, you're now 2-0. You beat Gloucester last week. You win this one with Warhill. I know you still have a lot of teams to face in the district. The rivalry game coming up for the Hovis Trophy with Tab. But after last year being 0-3 to begin, what's the difference in this group from 2024 here as opposed to 2023? What do you see it's unique and you like about this group so far?
Our word of the year stole it from Ted Lasso, believe. And that's the first thing they had to do was start believing. Mm-hmm. And that's exactly what they're doing. And each game it has been interesting in that we've started a little rough and then got better as the game progressed. I would prefer that doesn't continue, in that trend.
Sure.
But it's a situation. They're not going to get punched in the mouth like they did last year. They just refuse to do that. So they're going to keep playing hard every single play, and do whatever they have to do to get the dub.
Well, go enjoy the weekend. Go run out some blue smoke with Sebastian. All right, do that.
Sounds good, man. Thank you very much. All right, thank you, Matt.
Thank you. Yeah.
So that was Doug Pereira, head football coach of the York Falcons, after his team's win over Warhill, 17-14. You heard it, Justin Martinez, only his second ever game, and they get it done to move to 2-0 before the matchup with Tab coming up on the 20th of September. It is 757 Saturday Sports Talk here on Cova Sports TV. Like, share, and subscribe to our YouTube channel. Ed, are you still there? Did we lose you?
Yeah, can you hear me?
No, we got you now. Go ahead.
Okay. Now, my comment to that is, how many yards was that field goal again?
34 yards.
Now, I'll tell you what I'm doing. I'm giving a ton of credit to Doug on that situation, because a lot of times in high school, you don't have a solid kicker. So unless you got a 10-yard, 8-yard field goal, 12-yard field goal, you might say, well, go for it. Trust our offense. He gives a kid the opportunity in only his second game to kick a field goal over 30 yards. That says a lot about the coach himself, because I'm going to say this. I don't know how many coaches out there would have gave their kicker that opportunity. Now, if they say, well, we have a great kicker, I would have gave him. Okay, you could say that now because it wasn't you. But I got a feeling a whole lot of coaches out there would not have gone with that field goal. Again, of course, time on the clock has something to do with it too. But I give credit to Doug on that for trusting his kicker to knock it through. And of course, the kicker came through. And like I said, in the kicker's interview, he seemed to be very calm. So I can imagine he's fairly calm on that field too. And like he says, I'm just doing my job. So that's pretty neat to hear and see.
Yeah, indeed. A couple more scores for you before we go to break here from Thursday's action. The Bethel-Menchville game got postponed. As you may or may not know, there was an unfortunate shooting earlier this week in Newport News. They want to have safety of the utmost importance, which we totally understand and get. Phoebus a winner over Woodside as they prevailed against the Wolverines by a count of 42-3. They're now 2-0, 37 wins in a row and counting for the Phoebus Phantoms. And also on Thursday night of the Bay Rivers District, it was Poquoson victorious over Grafton as Elliott Duty's Islanders, the Bull Islanders, moved to 2-0, 28-8 as they beat Grafton in that ball game. We actually caught up with Coach Jeremy Blunt. If you missed that interview, it's on virginiapreps.com. Plus, it's on our YouTube channel on Cova Sports TV as we had him as our guest, our featured guest this past week on The Hash with Hatfield. Go check that out as he discussed the big win over Highland Springs. When we come back, though, Highland Springs has lost back-to-back games, and they're now 1-2 for the first time in 16 years. You'll hear what Dyrri McCain of Maury had to say about his team's performance on the road in the 804, as well as the standouts quarterback Autori Newkirk and Leslie Hines right here on Cova Sports TV. But it's time for another timeout, and we'll come back with more right here on Cova Sports TV. Like, share, and subscribe to our YouTube channel. Oh, we're going to take a break and hear from some of the sponsors, including our pals at DQ. It's not fast food, it's fan food, and Ed Young absolutely loves it, including those blizzards.
Get ready for a season of thrills and excitement. Virginia Beach United invites you to experience the adrenaline of USL League 2 Pro Soccer. Tickets are only $10 for adults, $7 for kids, and children 5 and under are free. It's the perfect family outing filled with fun and entertainment. Secure your seats now for a season of unforgettable soccer moments with Virginia Beach United. Don't miss out.
I grew up here. I know this town. I know the people here. More important, they know me. As a banker at Town Bank, we become part of the communities we serve. The people who bank with us, our members, know us. When you bank with Town Bank, you'll know your banker. You'll know you can reach us, and you'll know we're here for you.
What's up at DQ? Oh, just the best deal ever. The $7 bacon cheeseburger meal deal. Bacon cheeseburger, fries, drink, and a sundae. No time to be modest. It's all full size for just $7. Right now at DQ. Happy tastes good.
Well, it's everybody's favorite time of year again. Time to prepare to make your annual donation to that infernal revenue service. And if you're like me, you need help. Help to keep that donation as small as possible. So get off your W-2 and call John Maynard at John's Tax Service. 455-6763.
What's up at DQ? Oh, just the best deal ever. The $7 bacon cheeseburger meal deal. Bacon cheeseburger for a limited time, plus fries, drink, and a sundae. Yeah, this is not the time to be modest. It's all full size for just $7. And there's bacon on that burger. The $7 bacon cheeseburger meal deal. Now for a limited time on the $7 meal deal lineup. Only at DQ. Happy tastes good.
Time for a Southeastern District rivalry as the Kingsport Bulldogs travel to Chesapeake to take on the Western Branch Bruins. A big one here tonight. On 4th down on the first possession, Kingsport goes for it. DeAndre Artistine pass complete to the Darius Wynn for the first touchdown of the game. Here's Derek Cook finding his receiver complete. CJ Frazier up the field for about 15 yards and a first down. This one handed off to Javon Ford, the dominant running back for Kingsport, pounds his way into the end zone. Touchdown Kingsport. And right here, look at this play. Reginald Davis with a pick six for Kingsport. But wait, the Kingsport defense was not done. This one was thrown deep and picked off by Carl Arline Jr. That was 2 possessions in a row with picks. Derek Cook looking to redeem himself. And look at this catch by C.J. Frazier. Unbelievable. Gets a taunting penalty after the strike, however. It's too little, too late for the Western Branch Bruins. They'll drop this one to Kingsport. 26-7 your final score. Back with Cooper Sports.
This is 757 Saturday Sports Talk. Here are Matt Hatfield and Coach Ed Young.
And we're back here with you on Cova Sports TV. Like, share, and subscribe to our YouTube channel and interact with us wherever you may be tuning in. VirginiaPreps.com, Facebook, IG, X, or Twitter, Apple, Spotify. We thank you all for interacting and listening to us this morning. You saw some highlights from our pal Jack Lowe of Cova Sports TV as he watched Kings Fork defeat the Western Branch Bruins. Ed, would you like to hear from Coach Anthony Joffrey on now, or go through the scores and hear from Coach Joffrey on later? Then the Maury standouts along with Coach Dyrri McCain. Your pick, as you are moving and grooving there. I tell you what, I'm seeing the sun go by. I'm seeing the trees go by. Hope you're doing the speed limit wherever you are driving there. Otherwise, the cops that watch the show might be finding you.
I know I'm not supposed to be on my phone, so I'm trying to make sure that I'm following the speed limit. Being a driver's ed instructor, I can't afford to get a ticket. That won't look good on my record.
No.
So I'm doing what I can. That's why I'm not able to respond to some of the graphics and the scores and whatever, because I can't stare at the phone. I've got to make sure everything else is looking good. But I think there for a second or two you had lost me. Video, I went through another tough area, but I think I'm back. But let's hear what Coach Joffrion had to say about that big win. I tell you, Kings Fork might be one of these teams. I guess it's going to be that Oscar Smith game that maybe they could be undefeated by the end of the year.
Hold your horses. They got it. We'll get to that after. I'll let you put that out there now, and then I'll react to it, and we'll hear what Maury did as well, and you'll see some more scores coming your way. But Jack did catch up with Anthony Joffrion of the Bulldogs for a couple minutes real quickly. Let's give them some shine and some love and some pub here on this edition of Cova Sports TV. And I know Coach Joffrion is a loyal viewer, listener, and watcher of the program. So here you go. Maybe he'll come on and beat you in fact or fiction, which would be great. Here's Coach Joffrion with us.
All right, I'm here with Kings Fork head coach, Coach Joffrion, after their dominating victory over Western Branch, 33-7. Coach, it was a chippy game, Southeastern District rival. It's like this every year, basketball and football. What do you tell your guys to stay composed and not give up extra yards and penalties?
Yeah, I would say, Western Branch, Coach Cook has done an amazing job at Western Branch. They have a great culture, and they came out today and they competed, and Coach just does an amazing job with his kids and his program, and we just got to continue to keep working and getting better.
Absolutely. Something I noticed in the first half, especially on that first touchdown, you guys seem to convert a lot of third downs and fourth downs. Would you say that's one of the biggest keys to the amount of points y'all put up tonight?
Yes, I would say, the key was, offensive line. I do want them to play better, but they did play a good game tonight. Our quarterback made, some really good decisions. Our running game was solid. There's definitely room for improvement, special teams, offense, and defense.
Absolutely. Was almost a shutout until the touchdown towards the end, but overall, just great defense by your guys. What would you say was the best part of that defense?
I think they just do a great job of playing together. They feed off each other. Brandon June, he's a 4-year starter at inside backer. Zachary Walton, another 4-year starter. They just do a great job of playing together, hold each other accountable, and just trying to compete every snap.
What would you say is the best thing you saw out of the guys tonight?
I would say the best thing I saw tonight was, the guys just stay together, like a family through everything, the different adversity that the game showed. We do have to do a better job of, substituting, rotating, and keeping our guys fresh throughout the game.
Absolutely. Nice win tonight. You get some momentum going for you, some big games coming up. How do you use this momentum to keep moving forward?
I would say the biggest thing is just, using the film and really critiquing it and, just focusing on us and trying to get better. I think that's the biggest thing we have to do moving forward.
So there you have it. You heard from Coach Anthony Joffrion of the Kings Fork Bulldogs, a winner 33-7 over Western Branch. And as we morph that game and the score from that game and some other scores we give you across the Southeastern District and the 757 as we pipe in some audio music for all you out there to listen to some of this with us on Cova Sports TV. Indian River all over Lakeland last night at 56-3. The Braves, by the way, are maybe the biggest challenger in front of Kings Fork before Oscar Smith, although there's another team that's going to have something to say about that. Nansemond River all over Deep Creek as the Warriors from Suffolk got the job done in convincing fashion. You heard about Tyrell Grant having a big game, Ed, in the opener against Bethel when Nansemond cruised 46-14. Well, Tyrell Grant followed that up again with another big effort last night as Grant against Bethel. He had a huge night, 22 of 28, 154 yards, 13-19 passing. And the Nansemond River last night on his arm, finding the end zone 3 different times. Melvin Brown runs for 104 yards. Their offense is kicking it in the high gear, and they hold Deep Creek to just one score on the night as well. In Indian River's case, big game from their rushing attack as they were all over Lakeland behind the likes of Rayvon Moore. And then not just Rayvon Moore for them, their backup running back behind him had a good night. Rayvon Moore runs for $115 and 3 touchdowns. The running back behind him, Andre Alexander, gets 120 yards and 3 TDs as they overwhelm. I think I said Lakeland by mistake. My apologies to that. Lakeland got a win last night. So let me correct myself. Indian River over Hickory as they moved to 3-0 on the campaign. And they're looking pretty good right now, the Braves. They get that victory. They beat Lakeland 56-3 the week before. Lakeland beat Manor 14-8. And Oscar Smith thumping Great Bridge 62-0 did the Tigers. So blowouts has been the norm. If you watched On the Hash with Hatfield, which I know you did at the crack of dawn on Friday, I talked about 19 shutouts, Ed. Well, we added that total with Oscar Smith's blanking of Great Bridge and a lot of blowouts in the SCD. Are you worried that the haves and the have-nots, the gap is just getting wider? Or is it more, not too much, Matt? We've got elite teams with Oscar Smith Indian River, Kings Fork, and dare we say Nansemond is in that pack as a big four, a top four, a fab four?
Yeah, and there's no question that those four, going into the year, those four up top. It's just now they're going to prove it on the field. It was a lot of shutouts, but if I'm not mistaken in my predictions, I think I predicted like 7 shutouts. I just think there's a distinction among some really strong teams and a few teams that are in that proverbial trying to get it together. Young team out on the field in today's game, not getting some of the transfers some of the other schools have gotten. Maybe the schools have lost those kids that would have helped them. So there's reasons for that. There just is. I mean, can't hide behind it. You got some powerhouses, and they're showing it. And again, we've talked about this in the past. What is a team that's very strong supposed to do? Just fall on the ball in football? Don't score, fumble it away on purpose.
All on it.
Other teams' job to stop the team that has the ball. Now, with that said, there's no need to run scores up. If you can beat somebody 40-0, why would you want to beat them 50-0? But those teams that you mentioned in the Southeast, they're very strong. And I made the comment before break about, let's watch out. Kings Fork could be one of those teams. You could say that about any of those four. I just think going into the season in the Southeastern District, we figured it would be Oscar Smith and Kings Fork as the top two. And not to say that Indian River and Nansemond River won't be very strong, because I think that in their first couple games, they have proven how good they're really going to be.
Well, a couple more scores for you. We could splice in here. I want to get your thoughts on the Kings Fork, Maury, Warwick Region 5B dynamic with Granby, who was idle, and Nansemond River as emerging teams. Is that the best region in the area? We talk about what's the best district in the area. You have 6A, 5A, 5B, 4A, 3A, 2A involving teams from the Hampton Roads in our main central area. But we're all across the state. You saw our state rankings a few moments ago, as we now have in our VirginiaPreps.com top 10 rankings. I want to get your take on that a little bit here. Class 5, it's Maury 1, Matoka 2, Kings Fork 3, Green Run 4, Warwick 5, and then 6 through 10 is Briarwoods, LC Bird, Indian River, Stonebridge, Salem. Actually, that was last week's. It's Maury, Matoka, Kings Fork 1, 2, 3. Green Run is 4, Warwick is 5, Briarwoods is 6, Indian River is 7, LC Bird, Salem, Stonebridge running it out. But Stonebridge is going to drop out. They're now 0-3 after last night's unexpected 8-7 loss to Woodgrove, as we saw some state powers go down on Friday night, with Salem falling to William Fleming, with Riverheads falling to Fort Defiance, with Stonebridge losing to Woodgrove, and with Highland Springs losing to Maury. We're talking about 4 programs, Edward, in the last 30 years with a combined 28 state titles, all going down on the same night. It was my number one Hats hit of my 5 Hats hit takeaways on Friday night. Is it a changing of the guard with some of the powers in VHSL football all losing on that evening? The quartet of the Springers, the Gladiators, the Spartans, and the Bulldogs of Highland Springs, Riverheads, Salem, and Stonebridge, all going down new blood in title conversation. Well, and in contention, we should say, not just title conversation. The new blood has been established in Norfolk for about 5, 6, 7, 8 years now, and that is where Dyrri McCain and his Commodores are humming. Would you like to hear what Coach McCain and 2 of his standout players told us after the big win up in the 804?
Yeah, let's hear what the kiddies got to say.
You want to go with the kiddies first or Coach McCain?
Kiddies first.
All right, he says kiddies first. So you're going to hear from the quarterback, Tory Newkirk, who, we're not kidding you, had another sizzling night, over 300 yards passing, 4 TDs. Wait till you hear his numbers the last 17 games. And Leslie Hines as the Commodores cruised past the Springers. It's Cova Sports TV.
All right, here with a couple of the standouts for the defending state champion Maury Commodores after the 38-7 win over Highland Springs. We got the reigning Class 5 state offensive player of the year, Tory Newkirk, a quiet 320 yards passing and 4 TDs tonight, and Leslie Hines, 8 tackles, 4 for loss. I think he caused a fumble, recovered a fumble sack. Tory, how do you grade your performance tonight? It felt like you were just backyard football doing what you normally do. And this was a big game, though. It wasn't some ordinary matchup against a team that you guys have had some history with.
Really, tonight I feel like we played a all right game. Me personally, I feel like I could have played better. I had a few mistakes in the game, but my team around me, surrounding me, helped me make great plays too.
I'm going to get you guys to talk about each other. He said he had an okay game, but he threw for 320. Is this the best quarterback in the state?
Yeah, he gonna underrate himself. He feel like he could have played better, but I feel like he had a good game.
How about this defense tonight? You know, Highland Springs last week went up against Phoebus. Did you all have some kind of proof like, hey, they got a great defense at 7-7, but our defense is right there with the best as well?
Yeah, we wanted to make them lose 2 back-to-back games to 7-on-7 teams.
Mm-hmm.
They scored. We wish that wouldn't have happened, but we played good on defense.
All right, he said you're underrated. This guy's pretty underrated because we hear about Ari Watford and Kendall Daniels and Ike Simmons and Carlton Smith and your receivers, LeBron Bond. They're all great. You're great. He's pretty darn good, too. What makes him so special on defense? I know you got to be jumping up and down when he gets these plays in the backfield.
Yes, sir. We call him the silent assassin. Definitely. He's the most underrated guy on our defense. He makes the plays quietly, but he's always there every play. You will see number 12 on every play.
To represent the 7-7, both of you guys, to come into the 804 and in their backyard and win by almost a running clock, you think that the rest of the state and people across the state kind of recognize this? And this is just the beginning of what you guys want to accomplish, right?
Yes, sir. Really just we're trying to send a message, but send a message in a dominant way to everyone in the state. But we got to keep getting better week by week to accomplish our goal.
Sure. Leslie, your thoughts?
Yeah, we definitely got to get better. We made a lot of mistakes. We still won by a lot, but we got to get way better.
And lastly, Tori, people think you have maybe the best receiver in the state in LeBron Bond, but you had some other guys you spread the ball to tonight. And speak on Damon McDaniel Jr. He had like 8 or 9 catches, almost 100 yards, getting him more comfortable with the offense and what you guys do.
Yes. LeBron is a great guy. He's a great receiver, but you can't be great without other guys around you that help make you great. So the guys around him help get in there, get the catches, get first downs, move the chains and everything so that we can get big plays like how we do and make touchdowns and put up points so that our defense can relax.
17 straight wins and counting for Newkirk, Hines, and the Commodores. Thanks so much, guys. Congrats. Go enjoy it. Yeah, appreciate it, guys. Yeah. So the Maury defense was lights out on Friday night, Ed, as they beat Highland Springs. You know, they gave up the touchdown, but it was a special teams touchdown, a 60-yard kickoff return. So really what's wild about this, 2 games in the books, and they were literally about 4 minutes away from getting their first shutout since 2012 Verina. Highland Springs being blanked in the regular season finale. That's how long it had been. And then they give the kickoff return. But 2 games in the books for Highland Springs. Tell me this is a non-oddity. I should say 3 games in the books. They're 1-2. And in their first 3 games, they had the blowout of Manchester, who actually held off Powhatan last night. But they had a blowout of Manchester. And then against 7-5-7 teams, who they had mastery of. 11 consecutive wins. They now dropped 3 in a row. 2 to Maury with Phoebus sandwiched in between. The last 8 quarters of football, and we're talking, 96 minutes? No offensive touchdowns as Phoebus and Maury's defenses have kept them out of the end zone offensively. And how about young Newkirk? You heard him talk about sending a message in a dominant way. His last 17 games, this guy has thrown for 4,114 yards, 50 touchdowns, 6 interceptions with 855 yards rushing and 13 TDs. That's fantasy football numbers. We don't need Kyler Murray in the desert. We need a Tory Newkirk.
I'll tell you what, that youngster, he talks about sending a message. He's sending messages, and I'll tell you what, he's developed himself. Got to be a sweet Division I prospect back there. Of course, we know college ball is a little different, but still the fact that
did you hit something? You hit a rock? What happened?
Yeah, I hit looks like I hit a pothole.
I'm glad you didn't run over any squirrels or cats or dogs or anything. Jeez.
No, I'm very, very aware of the animals out here and make sure I don't hit him. But I missed that pothole. I guess I didn't really see it. Again, I'm looking for things coming from the side and whatever, because you got some people, I'm driving on the interstate, going the speed limit, about 65 mile an hour. How come I can still smell weed coming from cars around me? I have my window down, and I just got off the interstate, and I'm saying to myself, how can one
Go ahead. I'm laughing.
On the road, how can people at 65 miles an hour be smoking weed? Because my window's down, I had to put it up. I thought, what in the world is going on out here? I tell you, we got some strange people in this world. We got some strange people in this world.
Well, you're part of the strange individuals. And by the way, the views and comments expressed by one Edward V. Young, as in Victory and Vincent, do not necessarily reflect those of Cova Sports TV and its proud partners. But it was, as Derek Fulgham said, a hit and run. I do agree that, Derek, that was a hit and run if I've ever seen one. I'd tell you what happened last night. You know what else was a hit and run? The Maury Commodores hit the Springers in the mouth, and they ran back to the 7-5-7 after that 38-7 thumping. And we caught up with the calm, cool, collected coach of the Commodores. See what I did with all the C's? Going for another championship. That's Coach Dyrri McCain. Let's hear what he told us after the win on Cova Sports TV.
All right, here with Maury head football coach Dyrri McCain as the Commodores beat the Highland Springs Springers 38-7 to move to 2-0 overall, 17 consecutive wins. Coach, pretty loud statement tonight. We know what Phoebus did from the 7-5-7 defending state champ last week, and you guys were so close to a shutout, 320 yards passing by your quarterback. Your defense was lights out for almost the entire 48 minutes. What's your feeling after this game? Happy but not totally satisfied, or something else?
No, I mean, we're happy with the win. I mean, just like anything, I mean, we had a zero that we wanted to keep on the board, and defense itself didn't give that up. But we know we'll make that correction. But just like anything, man, any time that we've won, we've learned something from it. Any time that we've lost, we've learned something from it. So we'll learn from it. We'll get better from it. And, we're happy. We got the win. We came up here and did what we were supposed to do. It was no surprise. We came up here and did what we were supposed to do. But we would have liked to not give up that touchdown for sure.
I know you preached to your guys about being selfless and sacrificing while you're ballyhooed, top 150 recruit going to Clemson. Ari Wofford has to play on the offensive line tonight. Right tackle, you have a couple guys missing on the front. He also scoops up a fumble, runs it into the house. What's it say to have a guy like that do that in a game of this magnitude, play right tackle and do what he did?
Well, that's who Ari is. I think people talk about like his ability and his length and his size, and I get all that. But I don't think enough gets talked about like who he is in the classroom, his academics, who he is as a person. He obviously showed today that he was a selfless guy. Which is why plays go your way when he gets that fumble touchdown. That's what happens when you want to be a teammate, when you want to be a team guy. Blessings happen for you, good things happen for you. So that's what I think happened, and he's a ball player, so he finished the play.
And when you dedicate yourself and you're playing opposite the guy wearing 66 tonight, not number 0, it's Leslie Hines with 8 tackles, 5 for loss. He, I think, forced a fumble. We spoke about it last year. He's the most underrated guy defensively on your team, maybe the whole state, the way he's playing.
No question. Leslie was our defensive MVP last year for a reason.
Over Fred Johnson.
That's having Fred Johnson at South Carolina. That's having Devontae Floyd at Duke.
Yeah.
That's having Ari Wofford. That's having Isaiah Simmons. That's having Dylan Gold, Kendall Daniels. Yeah. We can keep going across the board. Levante Bond.
Yeah.
What Leslie brings us, he's very valuable to what we do. Everybody else can talk about those names and people names. Leslie is our guy. We're gonna ride with him. He's one of our forces on defense. He's going to bring it every night. You can look at him and think that it's going to be an easy matchup, an easy task. Leslie's nothing to play with. He's a guy.
I'll save your quarterback in a second, but David McDaniel Jr. tonight had a breakout night. We know about LeBron Bond for you. Tonight he gets 8 catches for 95 yards, a new guy in your system, and you saw this coming. His dad was a player back in the day too, like yourself, catching the ball. He had a breakout night.
Yeah, I would just like to say I was okay.
Okay. Can you beat Dame Jr. and Dame Sr.? I don't know.
Hey, I don't know. We'll see. We'll see. We have to line it up and see. But no. Dame has been phenomenal. Great coachable kid. I just remember when me and his father were teammates. And
that was at Hampton, right?
Yeah, at Hampton, and to now like to see little Dame come out there and watch his dad play. I remember him as little Dame, and now like to be able to coach him is cool. It's a cool experience. But he came to play today. And he knows what the offense entails. So today was his night. He played well. It's no surprise. I mean, he's another stud.
And lastly, I said the best for last. Artur Newkirk quietly throws for 320 yards and 4 touchdowns tonight, 4 different receivers, and it feels like as he goes, you go, but he does it in such a quiet manner and doesn't care about the limelight, does he?
No, that's not Torrey. Torrey's a very laid back, casual type of guy, but super, super competitive, which is what I love about him. He's one of the best that I can say that I've ever had. Just his composure, his leadership, his play and production. But it's gonna be no surprise. But like I said, right now we're 2-0. He's trying to lead his team to another 15-0 season. They're trying to get us to a state championship. Not many can say that they've done that, and it'll be the first time in program history. So, when it comes to the likes of people who's left, and you talk about like Keandre Lambert's and legendary guys, Tory has a chance to create his own conversation with what's going on.
And I'm sure you're glad to be 2-0 with the horse and the buggy and all that from Dinwiddie coming to your place. It's supposed to go in there. We'll see you next week.
No question. Thank you, man. Appreciate it.
So that was Maury head football coach Dyrri McCain with us here on Cova Sports TV after the 38-7 thumping of Highland Springs. And I think it was the largest victory of defeat for the Springers since you got to go back to a long time. I actually tweeted this to our man Danny Lewis last night. I think it was, I want to say, Ed, the beatdown that they had last night was the biggest for Highland Springs in terms of margin of defeat since you got to go back to 2010 in the playoffs. So we're talking 14 years what they did. And here's the thing. Region 5B is just stacked with teams. I mean, we talked about Nansemond River. Her offense has put up 88 points in 2 games. We haven't talked about this morning, but Warwick, a 64-0 shutout of Kickingham. Their first 3 games, 35-0, 47-0, 64-0. You say, well, they beat Grassville, Bethel, Kickingham. Well, that Warwick defense in the last 23 regular season games has given up 1 offensive touchdown. And the only team to torch them would be this Maury offense, which we'll get to in a second. Granby, by the way, what a resurgent story they are. New quarterback this year, but Kendall Jefferson, who you heard on last week's show, they've got defensive guys all over the place. Iman Cuffey, Shanique Wright's catching touchdown passes, 2 good backs in Drevion Tharrington and Tamari Palmer, and they're for real. And I'm not going to rule out Granby being 9-0, Edward, when they play Maury at the end of the year in what would be the Norfolk Super Bowl showdown. And then you got Kings Fork, who in 5B, we've got them 3rd in the state right now, and they have playmakers everywhere. They might be the second most talented team in the state behind Maury. And by the way, they think they're as good, if not better than Maury, because they beat them in a 7-on-7 at William and Mary. They got a running back in Javon Ford, who's maybe the most accomplished in 7.57, and they have a lot of heavy hitters on defense. They went to scrimmage Highland Springs back in August. They'll be battle-tested playing in the SED with Oscar Smith and Indian River and their Suffolk rival Nansemond River. But when it's all said and done, is anybody touching Maury? And I made the statement in the summertime, I wasn't sure they were going 15-0 again with those first 3 games of Wise, Highland Springs, Dinwiddie. Well, they got a scare from Wise. They beat Highland Springs rather comfortably. Next up is Dinwiddie with Harry Dalton, Southern Cal committed quarterback. And Billy Mills is a darn good coach with an up-tempo offense. But I beg the question to you and to others, is anybody beating Maury?
Right off the bat, top of my head, no. I don't see it. Now, I don't know. It's going to make a lot of teams mad they have on their schedule coming up. Granby being one of them down the road. Next Kings Fork, playoff type team. Maury's just that strong. And it's something we've been talking about since the middle of the summer. They're quite possibly too deep at every position. I mean, I could be wrong in that, but they're very strong. You're going to have to play extremely well, and you're going to have to be talented to be Maury. They're not going to have an off game, and that's because of the coaching staff. We talk about players, but you got to have a staff that knows what they're doing too. I think sometimes players can carry somewhat bad coaching through if they're talented enough. Maury has extremely good coaching. They have a great staff over there, and they mold those kids well. So, no, I don't see anybody knocking Maury down, but it's high school sports, and these kids, 15, 16, 17-year-old mindsets, sometimes you scratch your head and say, where did we go today? But I just don't see anybody knocking Maury down. That win over Highland Springs, wow. I mean, I just didn't see it. And by the way, Highland Springs losing to a Phoebus and a Maury. Come on now. There's a lot of teams in the state wouldn't even touch those teams that want to play.
People are writing them off too quick, by the way. I'm not saying they're going to win a state championship this year or even win the Region 6A title because you have Oscar Smith, who's purring right now, looking mighty good, Thomas Dale, among other threats. But it would be foolish to write off Lauren Johnson in that team because they'll be heard from before this thing is done. It's not like they're going away and crawling into a cave or anything.
No, Highland Springs will be in the playoffs.
Yes.
They played again, and hats off to them for playing a Phoebus and a Maury. So again, they'll be there. People get excited or get upset or say, and I know some of them Richmond people would do that. Hey, what's wrong with our team? We got to make changes. We're 1-2. No, you don't have to make any changes. It's who you played. So there's nothing to worry about in terms of that. And hats off to Maury, who played that team wise from Maryland. Then they go play Highland Springs, and they still got another toughie.
Dinwiddie, by the way, that's their get a break game. Not really.
Yeah, of the three, I thought that beginning of the year too, Dinwiddie would be their break game, but
get a trap game.
I'm gonna. It could be, but I'm gonna say it right now. They'll win that game. Maury will win that game. I don't know if it'll be as smooth.
You're not going out on a big limb here, sir. I mean, that's put yourself. That's like saying, well, you know what, man? I'm going to be honest with you. I think the Ravens are beating the Raiders on Sunday. I mean, come on, that's not putting yourself on a limb.
Yeah,
actually,
I think
that might be disparaging to me. I shouldn't say it that way, but
yeah, that's pretty much a given too. But yeah, like I said, I think Maury goes through the regular season undefeated.
We have a break to take because when we come back, we're going to hear from our pal with Vicktory Life, the former Hokies and Crabbers lineman, Dwight Vick. He's got a youngster, by the way, who just finished up at Patriot High School. He'll fill us in on how he's doing, plus give you his thoughts on the matchup with Virginia Tech at Old Dominion. That's coming your way next here on Cova Sports TV. Like, share, and subscribe to our YouTube channel, but we have to take a quick time out, pay the bills, and come back with more. Oh, Ed, you're going to hear from Chicho's Pizza, which I know you love. We'll be back in just a moment.
Well, it's everybody's favorite time of year again. Time to prepare to make your annual donation to that infernal revenue service. And if you're like me, you need help. Help to keep that donation as small as possible. So get off your W-2 and call John Maynard at John's Tax Service. 455-6763.
Get ready for the Neptune Bowl presented by DoubleTree by Hilton on November 23rd, 2024 at the Virginia Beach Sportsplex. Tailgating starts at 10 a.m. Grab your passes for just $50. Gates open at 12:30 with kickoff at 2 p.m. Advance tickets are only $20 or $25 at the gate on game day. Don't miss the third annual Neptune Bowl featuring a dynamic matchup between the Apprentice School Builders and the Atlantis University Atlanteans. Visit beachsportsplex.com to learn more today and secure your spot.
Who's a cranky, crusty, crabby curmudgeon that's jealous of his podcast partner, enjoying life, being cool in the pool? Well, we all know who that is.
This is 757 Saturday Sports Talk. Here are Matt Hatfield and Coach Ed Young.
Back here on Cova Sports TV with the crusty curmudgeon, Coach Ed Young. I am Matt Hatfield. We have a guy who's never crusty, never a curmudgeon, and always in a happy mood. Our pal, the owner and founder of Vicktory Life. He played on the offensive line for the great Mike Smith and the late great Danny Mitchell and the Hampton Crabbers before going on to play for Frank Beamer and the Virginia Tech Hokies. So he is very much invested in today's matchup as the Hokies come to Norfolk to take on the Monarchs at SB Ballard Stadium in Norfolk. Will the third time be the charm? The last two have not gone Virginia Tech's way in Norfolk. The Monarchs trying to spring the upset again. We say hello to our friend Dwight Vick. Good to see you, my friend. How you been? I know you went and saw last week. I'll start there. You went and saw your former college teammate Lauren Johnson and the Springers against the hated rival of your Hampton days, Phoebus, who put it on them. Last night they got put on again. So did it really make it? Did it pain your heart to have to watch the rival Phantoms beat your buddy Lauren?
Nah, man, I got a lot of respect for Phoebus, man, because my go-to right now, because they're dominating the PD, and the state, and they're the New Hampton. My go-to is, well, I was 3-1 against you guys, and as a starter, I was 3-0, and that
There
was
you go.
I mean, that's the only thing I have right now. No, I wasn't jealous because, man, shout out to Bill D and Coach Sexton, great coaches, man, and it's hard when you're trying to build a program, and Hampton had that district in that region and it stayed on lock for decades, and Phoebus was always our nemesis, and you had some great teams with Antoine Womack and Taj Boyd. I remember Taj Boyd and Tyrod would have great battles. So I have nothing but respect for Phoebus. I love Lauren Johnson. Everyone knows I'm a big fan of him and Highland Springs and what they're doing. But when I look at what Phoebus is doing and now Maury, you got to respect championship teams. You got to respect legendary coaches and programs that challenge themselves with the schedule. And by the way, I heard you and Coach Ed talking. I don't have nobody beating Maury. Matt, you were on my show with Danny Noakes now on the Victory Life Legacy podcast. And all those kids they are so talented, and they got players going everywhere, man. So much respect to them at Phoebus. My only thing, and this has been something I've been on my soapbox about for the last 4 years, is I just really need the Peninsula District, other teams and coaches to step up. I don't want to hear about the academies and Phoebus has all these guys. I think when you're in the district, when you have a talented team like them, I want other teams to meet the challenge and do what you need to do to get better in the offseason. But respect to Coach Blunt as well, man. It's just, I'm jealous of the fact that this era of high school football can play teams 3 hours away in Dinwiddie and Highland Springs. It's kind of like that college field when Ohio State plays an out-of-conference opponent. In high school, we were limited to our district, and we always wanted to know what it would be like to play a team that we saw on Wavy TV 10 Friday Night Lights with Bruce Radar, or when Tony Mercurio was doing the breakdown on 1310 AM with the static radio. So, yeah, man, I'm jealous of those guys, but, great teams.
He might be jealous, but he's an honest man. Dwight, Vick is, Ed, and I will give him this though. I think there's a team we know that could maybe hang with the Maury Commodores. It might be those '96 Hampton Crabbers with Ronald Curry. I think they do all right against them, and that's not saying that Maury would get blown off the field. But that '96 Crabbers team, people to this day still say it was the best to ever come through the state. The PD for sure, and anywhere. So that's kind of the measuring stick people always say, and I'm sure you're not going to disagree with it, Dwight.
No, I'm not. Listen, and I'm not. You know me, Matt and Ed. I've been on y'all show 3 or 4 times. I'm honest and I'm real. I'm not that old OG that's like back in my day we were so much tougher and we.
No, that's Ed. We let Ed do that.
But like Ronald and company, it was legendary. It's like that documentary with the Miami Hurricanes, the U. And those championship teams they had in the 80s, man, or the 49er teams with Bill Walsh. You're just not going to duplicate that. It was the perfect storm. And I'm glad you mentioned my great coach, the late, great Danny Mitchell. Thank you for doing that. Him and Coach Mann were instrumental in those championship run teams. I remember talking to Coach Mitchell when I would come home from Virginia Tech, and he would talk about Ronald and the guys they had, Juice, the running backs, Muffin Hawkins, Marcus Biscuit, Ahmad Hawkins. It's just those teams were just special, man. Jared Green, Donnie Green. My God, they had household names. Darnell Hollier, Dwight Hollier's little brother. A lot of those guys went off to D1, but the '96 Crabbers team, I mean, I came down. We had just beat UVA in that big matchup against them going 10-1, and I came home for Thanksgiving break, and I saw Hampton playing James Madison out of Northern Virginia. James Madison was 12-0, and Hampton won the game, I believe, either 76 or 79-14. And Ronald had 5 to 6 touchdowns, a block return, field goal for a touchdown, a long run. Ronald Curry was a special player, and he still remains a special human being, man. So Maury's great, though. I know there's some kids probably watching and frowning up. I might get a few tweets. I'm not hating, man. I gave Maury their flowers, but those legendary Crabber teams, that run they had, and they would have won 5 straight if they didn't lose to Culpeper. Just think about that. But, again, it's tough now. It's a different era, reclassification with the new VHSL system, and you got teams 4 and 8 getting into the playoffs. It's just a different time. But I will say this, even with the new system, the right teams are playing for the state championships. You can talk about what if, coulda, shoulda, woulda. I've yet to see a wrong team play for a state championship. And truthfully, with the way these guys are scheduling now, Maury and all these guys, you're getting the matchups that the only one that's missing is Freedom now, Hayfield that has Jeffrey Overton Jr. You're not getting those matchups. But you might see them play in Oscar Smith or Highland Springs or Thomas Dale in Division 6 state championship. I can't hear you, Matt.
Oh, okay. You got me now, Dwight? You got me?
Yeah. Uh-huh.
Okay.
Yep.
Sorry about that. We want to get your take in a few minutes here on Virginia Tech ODU, and I want to get Ed's reaction to what you had to say there. But what we need is, I was trying to chime in there before we had the audio issue, was that we need to get the video game. The kids love the video game, the NCAA football, the simulator.
Yes.
Pull out the 26 Crabbers against the 23 and 24 Maury Commodores and do this bracketed champions matchup. Ed has no idea about the Xbox. You keep him away from the video games, but Ed, that would be so cool to do. It'd be so fun.
Yeah, first of all, Dwight, good to see you again, man. Always glad to hear you.
Yeah.
Listening to your comments, I'm going to join the bandwagon with you. Too many people nowadays in a lot of sports, we look at the past as 2 years ago, and we'll say, oh, and even those teams back in the day wouldn't do nothing today, but we're bigger, stronger, better, faster. I concur with you. Those Hampton teams of old could step right in and not only play these powerhouses today, but I would also say beat them. Now, would it be consistent? Who knows? Because it's never going to happen. So there's no need to really talk about it. Just like, is Michael Jordan better than LeBron James? Nobody wants to talk about it. Or when I'm a Wilt Chamberlain fan, when I mention Wilt Chamberlain, everybody wants to throw apples at me and say, Chamberlain didn't play against anybody. There's only 2 teams in the league, blah, 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 blah. I've learned.
Bill Russell was a nobody. He was a nobody, yeah.
I've learned I don't argue with fools or ignorance because you can't win those battles. You can't win those battles because they're a fool or they're ignorant. So I'm not either. So therefore, I'm not going to argue those people. Chamberlain's the most dominant player in the history of basketball, period. And maybe in a couple of years, I'll say LeBron is better than Jordan. Not right now. Not happening. I've seen enough of both. I'll take Jordan 10 days out of 10 days over LeBron. But we're not talking about that.
Hey, Coach, I'm sorry to interrupt, man. That's a great point. I wanted to say this before I forgot the thought. I'm glad you said that because I've learned, because I do so much work with kids and high school players and even some college players, I've learned to not even entertain it. Me and my son, who's down at Fork Union prepping, we have argued, and he respects my era, but he's like, when he starts to shame Iverson, I said, Zay, you have no idea how good Allen Iverson. He wasn't even 6 feet. Are you kidding? I mean, and he's seen the highlights, and I've caught him looking like, that's tough. But it's like it pains them to give anyone from our era respect. Well, credibility, not respect, because Isaiah's not ignorant. He will say, he was a dog, or he was about that. But no. I try to tell him, I said, dude, I played against him since I was a kid. Iverson is a Hall of Fame guard. Anyway, I'm not going to take a show over with that. It's just crazy.
No, Ed will do it. Don't worry, Dwight. He'll be the get off my lawn guy in about 5 minutes.
Dwight.
Go ahead, Ed.
But the key on there, Dwight, is, and when I say fools and ignorance, I'm talking in general, and I'm really talking about some of the older people. But because I'll argue with players when I'm coaching. I have players, and I'll say to them, go back and look at the history. You can't talk about a sport unless you understand the history, because according to all young kids nowadays, anything before 2000 is ancient history, not even sooner, and it doesn't count. Look at it that way, because yes, today's methods of getting better, stronger, kids are better athletes, athletic trainers. They didn't have all that stuff back in the day. JJ Redick said the NBA back in the day had a bunch of firemen and policemen. That's because they were making $10 million.
Really fired up. Yeah.
JJ, I loved him. I loved him at Roanoke. I loved him as a player at Duke. And he is a brilliant basketball mind. But I was disappointed when he said that, because I remember when he played for Boo Williams. I mean, he knows the game very well. And I was disappointed. I didn't even get mad. I was disappointed. I know how that stuff works, having a few friends that work on these big broadcasts and stuff, and I understand the narrative and agendas they want to push. But that one kind of hurt me a little bit, because I'm like, JJ, really? Come on now, really? I mean, and then I'm a big fan of Anthony Edwards when he said there was only a couple of guys with skill. I'm like, go back and watch Isaiah Thomas. Zeke, are you kidding me?
A lot of people get caught up in the moment. We know that. There's no doubt about it. Hey, Dwight, while we got you here, and we thank you so much for coming on with the time here. I'm going to paint this to you on the big matchup today, Tech and ODU, on two sides of it. Give me best case scenario, worst case scenario for Tech, what you like about this matchup going in, what you're concerned about. And then for Old Dominion side of things, where do you think they would have a chance to spring the upset? What you like about it? What would they most be worried about going in? What's kind of your view of it? Because I know you've been looking at the game this week and getting ready for it. Well, what's kind of your overall assessment and view, big picture here?
Well, first of all, I need Tech to break this little streak that ODU has, because today is my birthday. So today is my
happy birthday.
Yes, today. So I thank you. So I need a win.
You're looking good for 31, man. You're looking good.
31. You add some more. But ODU to win this game, they need the Virginia Tech first half team that showed up against Vanderbilt and Marshall. They need Virginia Tech to come out and play uninspiring football, and to basically the offensive showings they've had in the two last games in the first half, they've been confused. You can't really tell if they're going to run the ball or stick with the pass. The offensive line has not protected well in the first half. They haven't been able to establish a consistent run with Dromes or Tootin or Malachi Thomas or even Pearson Prelo's son. But in the second half, they've been very explosive. So if ODU wants a chance, you need to hold them to a couple of field goals, have them have some 3-and-outs, turn the ball over, and have Virginia Tech, start, oh man, here we go. Have that game close going into the fourth quarter like the previous ones. The first time Virginia Tech went down there, they were coming off a major big win at Florida State, night game, primetime game on ABC against Florida State when Francois was the quarterback. But we later knew that Florida State team wasn't as good as we thought they were. Virginia Tech went down there, first ever meeting in ODU, which I knew that was going to be a game. That was ODU's Super Bowl. And they played, and they had a backup quarterback in that game, and they played great. Beat Tech by 2 touchdowns. And Josh Jackson broke his leg in that game, and Virginia Tech really took a big L. It was a big win for ODU. Really put ODU football on the map, which, being a 757 guy, and I grew up down there, I always knew if ODU ever got a football team, I said that growing up, man, when I was at Hampton, that it would be a very good situation because they always had great sports, great men and women's basketball teams, and the location is prime for great talent that can't go to JMU, Virginia Tech, and UVA as far as offers. So the ODU crowd, there'll probably be a little bit more Tech fans there than ODU, despite it being an ODU game. But you want to take Tech's fans out of the game, get some momentum. Even the last time Tech was there, I believe they lost 20-17. They were getting ready to go up 2 scores before the half, and they botch a field goal snap. ODU runs it in for a touchdown. I was there in the front row. Place was loud. Then that same game, Virginia Tech dropped 4 game-winning saving interceptions. 4. One of them on the game-winning drive by ODU. So if you get that Virginia Tech team, you're going to really see ODU capitalize and have another upset win. I don't think this is like a mental thing or some type of curse. I think this is a matter of, in those 2 previous seasons, matchups against ODU, the last one, Virginia Tech ended that season 3-8. They were not a good team. They weren't. It was Pryde's first year. He was learning how to be a head coach with time management, clock management, personnel groupings. They didn't have that many playmakers. The first year they went down there and lost, led by Coach Fuente. Virginia Tech was feeling themselves, a little bit of internal turmoil. A couple of players got kicked off the team the next day on Sunday morning. They went down there and, in the post-game interview, Fuente talked about how they weren't really locked in. He liked them when they were more hungry and humble. Virginia Tech ended up going to a bowl game that year, but that wasn't a team that should have lost that game. But ODU was a good team that year too. This year, Virginia Tech comes in this game with much better personnel. You got Kyron Drones, who a lot of people feel like he's one of the better quarterbacks in the ACC. Tootin is a future NFL running back. He can return kicks. He can use them in the passing game, the screen game. You have Ollie Jennings with his homecoming coming back home. Lane, who just returned the punt against Marshall. Big-time playmakers at receivers. Daquan Felton, who's a great deep threat. They have the receivers and the offensive personnel to take over this game. Virginia Tech definitely can win this game going away, but they have to come in and play inspired football in the first half. They can't come out here trying to figure it out. Offensively, ODU, I saw on Twitter, I don't know how true, Twitter is hit or miss with what's factual or not, but I saw that ODU's quarterback is banged up and he may not play. He's questionable. Who knows what that means, but regardless, ODU defensively has been dynamic. They played South Carolina very tough, and they also played ECU tough. But their offense is like they sputter. In the first game against South Carolina, I watched that game, given my relationship with Shane Beamer, and ODU had 9 turnovers. I believe 4 or 5 interceptions, and the rest were fumbles. So if you get that kind of game from ODU, Tech's going to win going away, and I think that's what Virginia Tech's hoping for. I think if Virginia Tech comes out and runs the ball well and takes their shots downfield and plays a consistent game where they stay true to who they are, they should win the game. ODU is a very good program. I have a lot of respect for ODU. I just think this Virginia Tech team has a chance to make some noise heading into that game against Rutgers next week, and then, of course, that big ACC opener on the road against Miami. So that's what you'll expect to see. I mean, if I'm Coach Pryor in Virginia Tech, I'm taking this game personal. You know, you talk about where in the ACC pregame media conferences shows, you know, the one they do ACC Media Day, and he talked about where the flagship team of Virginia and ODU and JMU and all these other schools, Liberty, feel like they want a piece of that pie. I feel like I'm taking this game personal. You have a chance to make a statement, because for Virginia Tech, they're expected to win. If you lose, it's like, well, your brand takes a hit. Are you really the flagship team of the state? And then on top of it, take it personal, because last time you went down there, you got coaches and players stuck in the elevator, and then you also had guys. I don't know how this happened, but it was known and reported that Virginia Tech players had several items and valuable items stole out their locker room. So this is not a rivalry game, but I'm coming out here to make it personal. That's just my mindset. I just think when you go on the road, I don't care if it's against UAB, Norfolk State, at Miami, you have to have a certain mindset. And to me, it's not going to be a signature win if Virginia Tech wins, but it'll be a good win if they can win by double digits and set the tone from start to finish, and really, you know, send OU to be an 0-3. You mess around and that going into that fourth quarter, those ODU fans are going to get loud, and it's going to be a very raucous crowd. And then all of a sudden, like Coach Ed Young talked about earlier, this is football. Tip passes, things like that. So Virginia Tech has to really get Tootin going and get Drones, pick his runs, and I think they can really win this game. I think you're catching ODU at a good time, because if they were undefeated or maybe 1-1, I know the defense is going to play well. They got a really good defensive line at ODU. Like their line a lot. Very good defensive line. Linebackers as well. And their secondary, really their whole defense, but I think they wear down because the offense has not given them anything.
Well, a lot to unpack there. I'm going to let Ed jump in here with you and get your take on this, Dwight, as we talk with Dwight Vick, the owner and founder of Vicktory Life. Follow him on Twitter, X at Vick757. Also, check out his podcast. He does a great job with Danny Noakes on that. I've been on it. And he's a former Hokie and Crabbers lineman at 757 Saturday Sports Talk here on Cova Sports TV. You know, a few years ago, and I saw you at the game the last time, that kick changed the whole game around. That block kick before halftime. I was sitting next to Scott Cash on the sidelines. We couldn't believe how it just changed that entire complexion of that football game. The first time ODU beat them at home against the Hokies, they won that game in large part because of the receiving corps. They had a big passing day with Blake LaRusso finding Travis Fulton and those wideouts. This year, it feels like the Hokies had the receiver advantage with those two guys coming back home. Ollie Jennings, former Monarch, Daquan Felton, you mentioned, former Norfolk State Spartan. The ODU defense, I think, is stout up front, that front seven, but that's a worrisome. I don't know if the receiver advantage is a big deal for the Monarchs as it was last time, especially with a potential quarterback switch with Colton Joseph in for Grant Wilson if Grant can't play. And then the thing it always hits on, and you know this, we just hit on with the kick, special teams. The Monarchs, if they want to steal this game or have any chance, they got to block a kick, get a big kicker punt return, something of that nature, that third phase, that element. But I feel like, tell me, guys, if I'm wrong on this, and I don't mean this in any negative way toward ODU, but there's more at stake to lose for Virginia Tech than there is to gain for Old Dominion, just because Old Dominion's already done this twice, and they didn't make it stick because they still have some games to come in the conference, you know, the Coastal Carolinas, teams like that, that it might not guarantee a bowl or winning season. If Virginia Tech loses this just a couple weeks after the Vanderbilt game, and Ed dragged me to the Portsmouth Casino, Dwight, for us to watch the end of the ODU South Carolina game after Tech had lost to Vanderbilt, by the way. I was sitting there in a casino with him, but we were just stunned at how it was right there for the taking for ODU and they let it slip away. But it feels like if Tech did that today, it would set them back because they've gained some momentum in recruiting and they're trying to get back on that plateau they were once on. This would send them backwards even more than the Vanderbilt loss. True or false?
True. Listen, I don't like hearing must win. Even when I played, I feel like when I played football or basketball, it was always a must win. But again, we can't preach our brand lunch pill mentality. We can't talk about like we're winning the state, which we've done a good job. I think Pryor and Coach Mines and those guys, they've really been hitting the 757 hard with the recruits. Even the kids they haven't gotten, they talk glowingly about how Tech recruited them, and we finished number 2 overall, like, we're making some leeway, and we're not to the point where we were, but you can see it building going back to last season when we finished 1-5 out of our last 8. But a loss at ODU with a team that I don't really care about, many people felt, but a lot of people did think that with all the personnel returning and all the talent offensively, you got great cornerbacks and Strong and DeLone. You got really, really good guys, a great front four to transfer from Duke, the D tackle, Fugu, who's been there like 5-6 years from Freedom Woodbridge. You have the personnel to be an ACC contender and to win these kind of games. But if you lose this game, and you're now 0-3 in Norfolk, and you sign this contract for another 10, 12 years. So ODU, though, if you win, it's great. But I remember when ODU beat us last time down there, and I was on Facebook and Twitter, and there were some ODU fans who were like, look, man, the standard is not just beating Virginia Tech, because at the time and right now, Virginia Tech is not the Virginia Tech of my era, or even the Logan Thomas, Tyrod Taylor era. Now, I think they could get back to that, especially with the kids they're getting right now. I think if you win that game, it's a good night for Tech. You go 2-1. You put ODU in their place, so to speak. I mean, I'm saying that just from a football perspective because I respect ODU, but I just feel like Tech has to win this game because of what they're trying to get to and trying to get back to and establish as a program. But we can say what we want. I mean, I remember when Virginia Tech upset Ohio State. That year, Virginia Tech went 6-6. It was almost like that loss didn't even happen because Ohio State went to win the national championship, and Virginia Tech played in the Military Bowl and beat Cincinnati and went 7-6, led by Brewer and J.C. Coleman. So you really got to get to a point where you come down there and you set the tone and win this game. I just think it'll be a long bus ride back to the Bird if you lose to ODU. And you got a really tough Rutgers team coming in. Then you got Miami on the road. With one win, you could be looking at 1-3, 1-4.
Yeah.
And look, Matt, you've been around this. Coach Young, you've been around this. We all been around this a long time. You start that way, all the momentum and all the things from this summer and last year after they beat Tulane in that bowl game goes out the window. You're going to see more tweets, more petitions, more phone calls. That is the world we live in. People and fans are no longer patient. This is not the era where you can say, oh, let's get this, because the portal and prepping and JUCOs and all these different things allow you to build your program much faster. And, Tech fans, God bless them, they've been waiting for a long time. They got burned by the Fuente era. That one left because he stopped recruiting Virginia, went to Texas, left a lot of guys going to Pittsburgh and Wake Forest and UNC. Now you got a guy that has relationships. Pride was there with me as a grad assistant when I was a player. He saw how it was built. His staff has been retained. You got great coaches like J.C. Price. So you have the staff there. You have the talent. Now you have to start winning on the road in these kind of games. And I said this before, the next step for them, which starts tonight, they have to learn how to win and handle success. And that's what you saw and you see with all the programs on all levels, middle school, like Maury. They know how to handle success. There are a lot of expectations. They come out and they show up and show well. So that's what great teams or even really good teams do in all sports.
Great perspective there from the former Hokie and Crabber, Dwight Vick, our guest here on 757 Saturday Sports Talk on Cova Sports TV. He, the owner and founder of Vicktory Life. Our last couple minutes with him here on Cova Sports TV. Ed?
Well, Dwight, I echo a lot of what your sentiments are. Your insight, having played at that level, is greatly appreciated. I look at this game, too, as just on the field, who's beating up who first. It's going to be the lines, offense, defensive lines. Somebody got to come out and establish quick, because when the lines dominate, your skilled people, so to speak, the guys with the ball in their hand, can do a lot more. Coming into the game, off the field, Virginia, and I like your statement, as an athlete and even as a coach, all games are must-wins. I never went into a game thinking, if we lose this, it's okay. Or, we don't have to practice hard this week because if we lose, we're okay. I want to win every game. So they're all must-wins. But I think from a media perspective, Virginia Tech needs the win because they lost to Vanderbilt. Nobody picked them to lose to Vanderbilt. The ACC, everybody had Florida State, Clemson up there, Miami. Well, I don't think any of them are dominant teams. So
Maybe Miami.
Tech,
Maybe Miami. Maybe.
Miami, I agree.
but Miami usually finds ways to screw it up as the year goes on.
That's true.
I see you're not in the Cam Ward for Heisman campaign just yet.
Well, my thing is this: and I like Miami from back in the day, but the problem with Miami over the years has, and I probably shouldn't tell this on them now. It's a whole different staff. Discipline, lack of it, sometimes hurts them in games. They do some dumb things. But my point is, Virginia Tech, if you wake up, you have talent. You can be good enough to win the ACC and get into the playoffs. So, but if you lose to an Old Dominion, and you already lost to Vanderbilt, you pretty much better run the table the rest of the way. Old Dominion is not picked highly to do a whole lot. They're still kind of filling themselves out. Still got some players that need to show what they can do those positions. The pressure's more on Virginia Tech. But Old Dominion knows, hey man, our former players back in the day, we beat Virginia Tech. We got to come into this game with the idea we can still beat them. It gives them a whole lot of notoriety for the win. Whereas Virginia Tech wins, people are going to say, well, you should have. You should have never lost to Vanderbilt. So the win kind of is taken out of their sails on that. So that's the media part of it. That's the off the field talk. But on that field, you're right. Virginia Tech needs to come in with a chip on their shoulder and beat people up early. Because if they let Old Dominion do it, Old Dominion can have that feel, can have that swagger about them, that execution, which is what we all have to have. Hype is nice, but if you don't know how to execute, you're in trouble. And Old Dominion can do that, and Virginia Tech will be like, oh, Lord Jesus, here we go, another Vanderbilt-type game. Exactly. So I'm looking at it from on the field perspective. You got to come out and beat somebody up quick and often.
Yeah, and I'll just add that you can't, man, listen, I don't think kids decommit or go to another program because you lose. I remember when UNC was being investigated several years ago, they still signed a lot of talent from the Tidewater area, linebackers from the South Side and playmakers on the peninsula, even being under investigation. But I do think it's tough to go into a living room or FaceTime a recruit or show up at his practice and say, hey, we want you here, we're building something. And the kid's like, bro, y'all lost to ODU. And that's not a shot at ODU. It's just that Tech is in a bigger conference and has a long-standing history and a brand that goes back long before I got there. But I was part of building that brand with the expectations we have now. So, recruiting is cutthroat. And then, down the road, you got UVA and JMU. JMU, to me, you can make a statement that probably the last, 3 or 4 years, they've been them in Liberty. But JMU more consistently the best program in the state. But UVA is undefeated right now. Got a big matchup with Maryland after the Virginia Tech game tonight. So in college football, in college basketball and college sports, it is a what have you done for me lately business. And you can't go into the 7-5 or 804 or the 703 or even the DC area up here where I'm at and talk this and lose to ODU, especially if it's on some 27-24 type stuff or 31, 23, whatever. I think Tech, though, looking at ODU and looking at the matchup, I think if Tech plays a very good game, they should win. But you go on the road, there are no guarantees. You have to have the right mindset. And your personnel, your stars have to show up. I always feel like on the road, in basketball, Barkley always says your role players have to show up. I understand that. But in football, your stars have to show up on the road, no matter what level, power forward, whatever. You have to show up. Drones has to play a big game. I don't think we've seen the Kyron Drones we expected to see yet. We've seen flashes. I think this is the game you could probably see him take off and do some things because he's a dynamic quarterback when he gets in the rhythm. It's almost like once he gets hit, has a couple of good throws. But the key to this game for Virginia Tech is their running game. They are very good when they're able to run the ball. I know that's a cliche statement, and a lot of teams say we got to run the ball. No, there are some programs in college football that can air it out and make plays. Virginia Tech is better when they have that play action and they let Gosnell and the receivers and Lane get open off the play action, off the running fake. I think they mess themselves up when they get too happy with RPOs and misdirection, making themselves play out of a touchdown. Just do what you do, simplify it. And that's what you saw in the second half of both Vandy and Marshall games is they simplified it. And when they took the lead against Vanderbilt 27-20, they simplified things. So that's what I expect to see, guys. I'm looking forward to it, man. I was going to be down there, but I decided to stay up here in the confines of Northern Virginia. My oldest daughter is a Monarch. Shout out to Sydney Vick. She's there.
Okay.
She's a junior there, and we were texting back and forth. Every time we've gone down there, she's made it known to troll and roast us. I'm like, please. I said, look, because she's friends with a lot of guys on the team. She's friends with them. I said, just tell them to take it easy. Let us get this win on my birthday. I need a win, man. I need.
You need a birthday present. That's right.
Yeah, that'd be a great birthday present.
Hey, Dwight, I want to go back a few sentences when you said sitting in somebody's living room and saying, hey, we beat Virginia Tech. Why would you want to go there for Old Dominion? You forgot something. Nowadays, the conversation starts off with, hey, man, if I come to you, how much money am I getting?
Oh,
or,
no question. Yeah. Yeah, you're right.
Because, hey, Matt, can you imagine back in the day, Dwight Vick sitting in his living room, and I could hear Dwight saying, so how much money am I going to get to open up these holes for these running backs? I can. Oh, man, Dwight, could we go back in the day? Could you think the money you could have made with your business on the line? Oh man, you'd have been looking pretty.
You know what? That's a great. Me and my cousin Mike Vick talk about that because obviously we know how good he was in high school. Especially he got better when he left Ward. He was good in high school and ranked nationally. I was ranked 4th in the nation by Sporting News, 4th in the nation at my position, and ranked top 20. Back then it was the Roanoke Times and Tom Lemon, and
listen,
I was.
You'd have had a bag with 6 figures by then.
Yeah. But coach, I don't know, and I'm being honest. I know I'm in my 40s and I'm older and mature, but I would have wanted money. But I think back then you were so enamored with, I get to play against Miami, Syracuse, Boston College, Clemson. I get to play, UVA. And back then UVA and Tech were like, it was must-see TV. It was a great rivalry. It was 2 top 20 programs against those guys. George Welsh recruited me. I remember them calling me and the letters I was getting from Florida. Coach Spurrier's son was recruiting me. So for me, the money would have played a factor. I'm not going to lie. I'm from Hampton. We're from humble beginnings. So I would have loved the money. But I don't know I'm glad my mom and dad are both educators because I would have needed them to help me because I just got good with money last year. And I'm in my I just got good with money last year. So I probably would have got that money and went to Coliseum Mall, a military circle, and just bought 5 Jordans. And I don't know, man. But I love the fact these kids are getting paid. I just hope somebody's helping them understand financial literacy because it's crazy right now, man. It's crazy.
Dwight, this could be another 2-3 shows talking about NIL. But I've talked with enough coaches. I've listened to enough people on TV, Nick Saban being one of them. Money has changed the game. Yes, back in the day, now, I didn't play high-level college sports, but it was big to see, for somebody to say, well, I'm going to go to Virginia Tech and play these Syracuses and all this. Kids do not think like that anymore.
Yeah, I know.
Today.
I know.
It is strictly the money. Can I get money out of this? Because their feeling is, well, I can play at any level. I can go here, I can go there and still play high against them, which we as coaches have to bring them back down to earth and say, look, just because your uncle or your dad or your mommy said you're good doesn't mean you're enough. And that element will never leave but the money. And money changes everything anyways. Money makes people do different things. The kids nowadays and the parent, it is strictly, what am I getting? After the big losses, who was it, a couple of weeks ago? One of the things they wanted to know at the end of last year when they went in there and said at Alabama, they said to Saban, hey, what do you have for me next year? Because I need to know whether I'm going to get paid or should I go in a transfer portal. Man, if somebody tells me that, you'd have to have police around me.
Well, Mike Gundy of Oklahoma State supposedly told some players, like, look, you're not getting any more NIL. This is like right before the season. And they're like a top 25 outfit. And you're dealing with this issue. It's like, what in the world?
And look, I'm on those Twitter spaces after wins or losses. And I was hearing Tech fans. That's why I love interacting with the fans because fans aren't stupid. You have some idiots everywhere, but a lot of fans of any fan base are well in tune now with all this social media access. And I heard so many fans said, look, man, Tech has to do this, we have to do that. We've invested so much money into the offense. I'm like, damn, this is like really free agency talk because they're not lying. Yes. Now, I don't have access to figures, but I know they do. They were like, yeah, this guy's making this much. He's got to be able to get a first down. I'm like, damn, we do invest money into these guys now.
Yeah, it's different world. Well,
yeah,
Dwight, it's a different game. It's a different game, and a lot of the veterans don't want to deal with it. That's why they're stepping aside. But if you don't know how to navigate and recruit the portal, you're in trouble. You're not. Yeah. This is what the problem with Dabo is at Clemson. He's not embracing the portal like powerhouses are, and it's a struggle. And George exposed that. So, and it's all about money. So you got to. I'd go to my boosters and say, "What y'all doing?" Because I ain't got it in my pocket to give. So you're going to have to step up, and we got to give these kids money because you can't show these kids, hey, we got a nice campus. Hey, we got a 10-to-1 girl ratio on the camp. They don't want to hear that stuff no more. How much am I getting paid? And I hate it. I hate it with a passion, but it's not going away, and it's only going to get worse. If you notice, former quarterback at Michigan, Denard Robinson, and some players are now taking the court because they feel they should have been paid from back in the day. Here we go. Because if they win that settlement, it's completely off the chain because everybody's going to get in line.
Maybe you too, Dwight. You get some money out of this.
I'll get. Yeah, I mean, well, I'm married with kids, so if I get it, it's not coming to me.
No, it's not. Why do the kids are taking it?
And Dwight, the problem with you being married, you can't worry about NIL money, whatever. Your money's going to your wife. She gives you an allowance, and you like it or not, and don't ask for a raise because she can easily replace you.
Yeah, listen, man, you're spot on, man. No, you're spot on. Again, it's a different time, and I'm adjusting. You know, it's interesting, man, because I'm still learning and educating myself on how this stuff works. And having a son, he's already hearing from some schools right now, being at Fork Union. He was already hearing from schools before, but now that he's at Fork Union and they're getting ready to start this thing up in basketball, it's crazy because even me and him don't think about it that way. But you have to educate yourself. It is a business, man, and it's tough, man. I just hope that these kids get the right resources and support, man. But I appreciate you guys having me on. This is always fun.
Hey, this was something we spent you way over time, but give our best to Sydney, Isaiah, your whole Vick family, your dad too. I know he's been a loyal listener in the past our radio show, but all the best to you and Hokie Nation out there with this matchup today against the Monarchs. I'm sure we'll get you back on again soon. Always a pleasure, my friend, and enjoy your weekend.
Yes, thank you so much, and thank you to you and Coach for doing this. I've been listening to you, Matt, long before I had all this Victory Life stuff and what I do. You and Coach Young, you know, back when Tony stepped down, I've been listening to you guys for a long time. So blessings, and thank you so much, man, for everything you do covering all sports, man. The 757 is home and always will be home for me.
Thank you so much, my friend, and we'll talk with you again soon. Have a great one.
You too. Thank you.
This is the one only Dwight Vick with us here on 757 Saturday Sports Talk on Cova Sports TV. We're going to take a time out and come back with more here on Cova Sports TV, including our NFL picks for week number 2. Ed is now checking his sheet because he wants to increase his lead on me. I'm so disappointed about this. 2-1 he was last week. I was 0-3, and our man Bruce Pearl from the Mustangs was 2-1 as well. That will close out the show here when we come back. But right now, we got to hear another word from our sponsors to make it possible for us to do this with you each and every week. And one of them is, I believe, the Drip Bar. Yeah, the Drip Bar. Hey!
Treat yourself to a visit to the Drip Bar, IV hydration and vitamin therapy in Virginia Beach. Boost your immunity, increase your energy, and promote anti-aging with our personalized treatments designed to ensure efficient nutrition absorption to rejuvenate your mind and body. Come see our chic and relaxing day spa for yourself today. We welcome walk-ins and appointments. Our medical professionals will help you achieve your best health and answer all your questions. The Drip Bar at Lansdowne Commons in Virginia Beach.
After more than 50 years of innovation, AstroTurf still leads the way. The inventor of artificial turf does it all, right here in the USA. We engineer, test, manufacture, and install the world's most innovative fibers and turf technologies, with over 30,000 tracks and fields worldwide. AstroTurf,
Powered by Sport Group.
At CHKD, sports medicine is more than just treating injuries. It's a whole team approach to caring for young athletes. With experienced physicians, surgeons, trainers, and rehab specialists here when kids and teens need them most. Our experts help young athletes prevent injuries too, with advanced training and conditioning programs that keep them in the game safely. CHKD Sports Medicine, where kids are more than patients and we're more than a hospital.
Don't miss the 3rd annual Neptune Bowl. College football only comes to Virginia Beach once a year. Tailgating starts at 10 a.m. Grab your passes for just $50. Gates open at 12:30 with kickoff at 2 p.m. Advance tickets are only $20 or $25 at the gate on game day. Get ready for the Neptune Bowl presented by DoubleTree by Hilton on November 23rd, 2024 at the Virginia Beach Sportsplex. Visit beachsportsplex.com to learn more today and secure your spot.
All right, here's today's joke. What do runners eat before a race? The answer is nothing. They fast.
And now back to Matthew Hatfield and that evil basketball coach. Blast you, Ed Young!
Not only are runners fast, but so is Ed Young when he's behind the wheel of a car. It is 757 Saturday Sports Talk, our final segment on this particular Saturday, the 14th day of September, the year 2023. You're not moving, though. Don't tell me you got pulled over.
No, I didn't get pulled over, but the traffic is, let's say, thick.
Well, it's our final segment. We thank Dwight Vick for coming on and spending some time with us. He was terrific as usual. All the interviews with Dyrri McCain of the Maury Commodores, his standout players like Leslie Hines and Tory Newkirk, plus Anthony Joffrey on from Kingsport, chatting with our own Jack Lowe from Cova Sports TV, York coach Doug Pereira, and the kicker that got it done for the York Falcons. What a job that was for our man Sebastian Benitez. All right, it is time now for the NFL picks in the league where they play for pay. And sadly, ladies and gents, I disappointed you all. I let you all down. Well, by the way, before we get to that, you know what I forgot to show earlier in the show? I got to give it before I forget now. You know who I got to see last night up in Richmond?
I think you had alluded to me earlier, one of the all-time greats.
There he is on the screen. There he is on the screen. The one and only Coach Gio, George Lancaster, legendary Highland Springs basketball coach. So many wins in his decorated career there at Highland Springs. And what can you say about him? I mean, he was just a real treasure, Hall of Famer, 37 seasons at Highland Springs, and he won. My goodness, I want to say he finished up with 704 wins, something like that. But he coached at Bluestone for a couple years. So, yeah, it was great to spend some time with the one and only Gio Lancaster, the legend himself. You have to get him on the links with you and him one day and watch him beat you again like he did back in that state quarterfinal game. Hate to bring that up, but I just did. So there you go.
Oh, that was a great game. Good time. In my coaching life, I've had a few opportunities to go against some legends. Probably number one was the great Morgan Wooten. The math when I was coaching at Altoona, I got to play Morgan, and I remember we were up 4-0, and I think as I took a timeout, and I told my camera person to make sure you took a picture of that score. It may not last. And sure enough, they went on like an 18-0 run, and we ended up losing by like 25, 28. He could have beat us worse, but he's gracious as he was. Now, he would make sure you could not come back from a win, but he would make sure also that he wasn't going to beat you by 50 if he can beat you by 46. But Morgan was up there. But George would be one of those ones too. Jack Baker, guys of that nature that I lost to, but I had the opportunity to compete against them because you really don't get a chance to go against a lot of Hall of Famers or really even less legends in the coaching business. And I was fortunate right there in 3 of them right off the top of my head.
Well, let's get to the NFL picks. Last week, you were 2-1, as I mentioned. You lost on what was your boldly declared guarantee of the week, which was Cincinnati minus the 7.5 against New England, as the Pats got the job done, beating the Bengals, who turned back into the Bungles, turned back into pumpkins. Couldn't move the ball with Joe Burrow, 16-10. New England got it done. No T. Higgins, Jamar Chase play, but Gerard Mayo, the Kickotan High alum, got his first win. I know Tommy Austin, our pal, was happy about that. You also did not suffer losses because Detroit got themselves a late win and cover minus the 4.5 on Sunday night against the Rams. That put you in a win column, as did under 41.5, an easy victor, 28-6 Vikings over Giants. Bruce Pearl had a win with 47-10 Saints over Panthers. He took them minus 3.5. He also took the Dolphins minus the 3.5. Oh, he lost by half a point, by a whisker, 20-17 to Jacksonville. They did win and not cover, but almost lost that game outright. They were down 17-7, and he won on Chargers minus 3, a 22-10 winner over the Raiders. My picks were dreadful. Minus 6.5 Bills, they won by 6, 34-28, bad beat for me. Had over 39.5 Chargers, Raiders, it was 22-10, bad offense for me. And I took Washington plus 3.5 against Tampa Bay. And the Commanders, well, they were the commies. They were not good at all. And I'm very upset about them losing that game 37-20 to Baker Mayfield and the Bucs. So, Ed, you will get to go first in our head-to-head. We will flash on the screen now, though, Bruce Pearl's picks for week 2. He's going with a dog in the Panthers plus 4.5 against the Chargers. Ooh, sneaky pick. West Coast to East Coast. Maybe he knows something we don't know, because the Chargers are viewed as a pretty solid favorite in that game. Not by the point spread, but the Panthers were so yucky last week. Well, Bryce Young, the former Alabama quarterback, bounced back. We shall see. Baltimore minus 8.5 against your Raiders. Vikings to get to 2-0, and our man Nick Senti, I'm sure, is hoping for that. All right, you get to go first. I have 3 games written down here. If you pick one of my 3 games, I will literally choke slam you when you get back to the 757s. Don't you dare do it.
Well, I'm going to go with another guarantee, only this time it better not be a loss. I can't look at all the picks because of my driving, obviously.
Yeah,
but I'm going to go by memory.
Okay.
Gary, give me the Cowboys. I think it was, is it minus 6?
It is minus 6.5 now. It's minus 6.5.
Over. Yeah,
Over
give me
that. I will give you Dallas minus 6.5. No problem with that. I don't see the Saints winning 2 in a row with the former Raiders QB Derek Carr. And Dallas did look pretty good offensively now that Dak Prescott's getting his money. He's getting paid. Okay. So that's not a bad pick. I can live with that if you are going that direction. I get the next 2, so I'm happy about that. It was not one of my picks. Lock of the week. New England is not starting 2-0. Sorry, Tommy Austin. Sorry, Gerard Mayo. Sorry, all you Pats fans. Defense was good, but Jacoby Brissett is a game manager, and the offense is not going to have enough. It is a hook, which worries me, and the West Coast to East Coast thing concerns me a little bit. But Seattle, I think, has enough offensive juice with those receivers, Metcalf, Lockett. They're pretty good. I like them to get the job done here for them and Geno Smith. Give me Seattle to get the W. They won last week over the Broncos, 26-20. Close ball game. But I think Lockett and Metcalf, who had 9 catches, will have even more against New England's pretty stout defense. They'll get a touchdown win, if not more. That's pick number 1. Pick number 2 for me, I'm going to – I thought about an over-under, but I'm going to try to save it in the cookie jar because I can't imagine you take this over-under. So I'm going to save it in the cookie jar. I think the next 2 games you're looking at, and this could be one you steal me, is Sunday Night Football on NBC. The Chicago Bears, who did next to nothing offensively against the Tennessee Titans. 24-17 comeback win for the first overall pick, Caleb Williams. He had 93 yards passing. They got outgained 244-148 by the dreadful Titans with Will Levis, the guy who messes with mayonnaise and stuff. Let me tell you something. This is over. Easy win for the Houston Texans and C.J. Stroud, the second-year quarterback who is the real deal, and he's going to show you why. Give me Houston laying the 6.5 as pick number 2. NFC, AFC little mix, and I might have an AFC, NFC mix for the over-under unless you steal it with one of your final 2 selections, sir.
Well, you took 2 games I had high on my list. Those should be winning picks for you. I think those are definites. I just got to remember who else I had on my board. Give me.
You want the game list?
Give
I'll
me
give you the
those
game list if you
Titans.
like.
Give me those Titans over the Jets.
Oh, you're going Tennessee plus the 3.5. You and Sal Palantonio. You know Sal Pal from ESPN, Vito's son. Vito's son likes the Titans in this game. So you think that, like Belichick talked about Monday night with the Manning cast, he said the outside zone runs could give them tricks, give them some problems. Okay. You got Tennessee.
Yeah, you're going in and out. I'm going Tennessee in that one, and in one. Who does Detroit play this week?
They're playing Baker Mayfield and the Bucks. The Lions are a home favorite, a hefty one at 7.5.
You're going in and out. I'm in a bad area.
No, I think you're going in and out. Yeah, not me. You're going in and out because your camera is now frozen. Now you're unfrozen.
Yeah, I can't, Matt. I can't hear you. You're going in and out.
Well, I think it's you. So I think it's you on the move is what the problem is. You're going to have to either pull over or give me your last pick. So he's going to try to we'll get him removed on the screen and see if we can get him situated here on our program, as Ed's having some difficulty with us on 757 Saturday Sports Talk as he's on the move in traffic, or I should say on the go here. So we've got Ed down for -6.5 with Dallas, and we've got him down with Tennessee plus the 3.5 as one of his two picks. We'll get his final pick in just a moment as we will come back here. I think we've got Coach now back recalibrated. Are you there with us? Can you hear me okay?
Can you hear me?
I can hear you loud and clear. Can you hear me?
Yeah, you're coming in and out.
But it's probably you going in and out.
I can see you, but I can't hear you.
Okay, you can't hear me at all. Well, you're going to have to send me your pick because right now we've got you with Dallas -6.5 and Tennessee plus 3.5. We're going to send that message to you. We got to get off the air here.
Give me Detroit.
He's going to take Detroit. Okay, he's going to take Detroit.
As his last Detroit playing?
Detroit is playing Tampa Bay. Can you hear me?
That could be a tricky game.
Are you getting off the pick, or are you taking
Tampa
somebody
can
else?
easily cover. You know what? I like what I saw with the Lions and the Rams against the Rams. Give me the Lions.
All right, he's going to take a gamble, folks. His last pick is going to be the Lions -7.5 to go with the Cowboys laying the 6.5 and the Titans plus the 3.5. And I'm glad he went this direction because I am going with an AFC-NFC game for the over-under as my last selection. This is the one mini shot in the dark. I know Jordan Love is not supposed to play. Malik Willis is supposed to be the quarterback for Green Bay. Anthony Richardson's got a big arm. I don't trust these two defenses, the Packers or the Colts. I think there will be points, high scoring in this game. Give me over 40.5 for Colts and Packers, the final selection here for a week number 2 in the league where they play for pay. So again, to recap real quickly, we're going over 40.5 with Indianapolis and Green Bay. We're going to go with -6.5 for the Houston Texans to get the job done against the Chicago Bears. And we will go with Seattle minus the 3.5 in their matchup that they have coming up on Sunday at New England. Bruce Pearl's picks, you see there, Carolina plus the 4.5 at home against the visiting Chargers from LA. Baltimore laying the 8.5 against the Vegas Raiders, and San Francisco on the road laying 5.5 against the Minnesota Vikings, who are trying to get to 2-0 with Sam Darnold. Ed's going Cowboys laying the 6.5 against the Saints, Titans plus 3.5 against the Jets, and the Lions at home to roar, laying 7.5 against the Buccaneers. And I think that will do it for this week's episode. Does that sound good to you, Ed? I know you're having some technical difficulties. Anything else to add before we let you go? He's nodding his head. I guess
again, you're coming in and out, man. I see you,
yeah,
but I can't.
You're going in and out. So we're just going to say goodbye to you for now. We thank you for coming on with us today. For the coach, Ed Young, who's having some technical issues, I'm Matt Hatfield. We will do it again with you next week here on Cova Sports TV. Like, share, and subscribe to our YouTube channel, and have yourself a wonderful football and sports weekend with all kinds of action all across the Commonwealth. everyone. And make sure you subscribe to Cova Sports TV on the Hash with Hatfield. We've got live football, field hockey, soccer, lacrosse, all kinds of great things for you. And we'll talk to you next week as we move to the 21st of September right here on Cova Sports TV. Take care, everybody.